stay and all that. So there are so many ways of maintaining your legal status. And today I'll be discussing with you my experience with the H-1B route. But first of all, just give me a second. First of all, I'm not a lawyer, and so we live in America. People like to sue a lot, so disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. This is just for informational purposes only. So what is the H-1B and why is it an option for you to stay here? First of all, it's a specialty occupation visa in that compared to other forms of visas, you have to demonstrate that your skill is unique. And unlike the EB1, EB2, or EB1 in particular, or the NIW option, this one requires you to have your employer petition on your behalf. And so the employer is liable for legal fees. They'll do all the stuff. And in my case, for instance, I never did anything. I never paid anything. The employer took my passport details and then they filed everything for me. And the position for H-1B typically requires a bachelor's degree, which all of us on this webinar have. And so by default, you are qualified to apply for H-1B in this case. But the employer must agree to pay you a prevailing wage. Now, this is the distinction between H-1B and J-1 visa. J-1 visa, and I know a couple of Ghanaian students who complete and then they jump straight into J-1 visa, and I wouldn't advise that. J-1 visa does not necessarily have to have a minimum, meet the minimum wage, right? But H-1B, you must be paid at least per the prevailing wage. What does that mean? What it means is that if you are an engineer in the field, what is the prevailing wage for the field? So they can't pay you below that, right? And so usually they will do wage determination, and then based on that, then they, based on your employer's offer, they will look at the prevailing wage in your qualification level, and they will give you the H-1B. H-1B is one of the few dual intent visas in that although you are considered a temporary worker, you are allowed to go straight to green card. And that has been the case for most people, except people from China and India who have to wait longer time in order to do that. But there is a problem with H-1B. The problem is that there are limited options available. By legislation, there are just about 65,000 H-1B visas that are open, and 20,000 of that is typically awarded to students who have graduated from an institution in the US, which means that you are at a strategic advantage in that you're already in the process of acquiring a US qualification. And it is allocated based on every year, and starting with the fiscal year from October 1st. Those of you who may not have known this, the fiscal year in the US starts from October 1st and ends on 30th of September. Oh. So typically, you would have to apply 6 months in advance, but I'm going to give you a caveat here. There are two types of H-1B, right? Overall. Danny, can you mute yourself? So there are two types of H-1B, right? I'll come to that. But let's look at H-1B applications over the years from the year 2000 to 2024, and look at the number of H-1B granted over that same time. So from this graph, you can see that from 2004, there were just 85,000, right? And in fact, in this particular year, they did not actually meet their quota. But compared 2004 to now, the latest application season, which is the 2024 application season, 780,000 applicants. But the number of visas are still capped at 65,000 plus 20,000. So let's say 95,000 applicants or potentially available visas. And so if you do the math, that's like the number of applicants for this year alone is about 12 times the available visas. But also look at this second graph here. You see clearly that this is the number of applicants over time, the blue graph. And then the orange orange line is the total number of visas that were processed and moved. So you can see that there is a wide gap between the number of people who apply and those who actually get it. But the good thing is that being or qualification. Somebody was talking. Was that a question?
No, he's been muted, so I think I'll continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So having a US qualification gives you an upper hand, right? And I will show you how to maximize your opportunities very soon. But one thing you should remember is that it is portable. H-1B is highly portable in that you can easily move from that visa to other forms of visas, including EB1, EB2, EB3, and various others. It also allows you to do some extensions, but the problem is that you have a maximum of 6 years total on it. You are initially granted a visa for 3 years, and it is subject to renewal for another 3 years, and that ends it. But here's the catch. Most often than not, before you are even done with your first 3 years, you get your green card, depending on where you find yourself. As I earlier on hinted, there are two types of H-1B, the cap and then the cap exempt. And so far, all the information I've given you have largely been on the capped H-1B, in that that one, it's free for all. It's the lottery system where everybody compete. The cap exempt is, the cap exempt in this case does not, you are not subject to the broader lottery system as so to speak. And so typically if you apply for the H-1B, you should you cannot start with the cap system, you cannot start before October 1st. But with the cap exempt, which I would explain soon, you can start any point in time. Or well before that.
It has all of the statements from the end of the application. We are now required to get your signature on those.
So how can you avoid the cap system and move into a cap exempt system? And that is my experience. Typically, employers, like so many things in the US, there are always exceptions to the rule. The US make one law and then it makes 1,000 exceptions to that rule. And they made exceptions to that rule because of the fact that they want to maintain competitive edge in science, in technology, in research, and all that. And so if you get to, if your employer or your potential employer is a university or a college, you are exempted from the quota. So universities and colleges do not have a limit to how many H-1B they can recruit in a year, all other things being equal. And so that is one area that you should be looking at if you are interested in getting an H-1B cap exempt. And over the years, they have a 95%, no, sorry, last year was 98% approval, but on average, the applicants who are hired by university stand a 95% chance of getting the H-1B. If you don't get to work with a university, but you have a non-profit that is affiliated to a university, you still qualify under that. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So for instance, if, you know, the US has, most universities have a feeder system. A feeder system means that they have specific high schools that they tend to prioritize as a feeder system to get students. So if, for instance, there is a high school in your in the neighborhood or closer to your university, your college, and then they have a feeder agreement with that university, and then you get a job there, you can get a lawyer who will make an argument that it is affiliated to the university of some sort. Non-profits in this case goes beyond the high schools. I'm just giving you an example because I know a couple of people who became high school teachers but got H-1B exemption. But there are other research institutes that are affiliated to a university or a college. Now, the level of affiliation is subject to scrutiny, right, or to debate, right? Aside those that are affiliated to universities, if you are working with a non-profit organization, what we call in Ghana NGO, they are also exempt from the 65,000. You don't have to go through the lottery system, right? So that does not mean that there has been debate about what constitutes a non-profit research organization. So I've heard a case where somebody was working with an NGO that helped migrants to resettle in Colorado. And they applied and they were denied the H-1B quota exemption. Why? Because they couldn't prove the point that they are actually doing some research that is beneficial to the United States. Right. So be careful. Not all organizations or non-profit organizations, research organizations are qualified. So as you are looking at opportunities to work with in non-profits, be mindful about that. Other group that is exempted is government organizations. So if you get any job with the federal government or federal government agency like U.S. Department of Agric, U.S. Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, Forestry Service, right? That is with the federal government, or you are working with the State Department at the state level, or any of the state's organizations like Treasury Department or Department of the Environment in Massachusetts or in Colorado. You are also exempt from that. But it is often very, very hard to get those jobs because typically federal government job, it requires you are either a permanent resident or a citizen. So even though you can try that place, chances are somehow limited. And so I will end here, and if there are questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dinko. So if anyone has questions, please just pin them down in the chat, and at the end, we'll take everyone's questions. Is Dr. Dia here? Hello, Dr. Dia.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. So Dr. Dia would take us through the national interest waiver.
All right. Hi, everyone. All right, so today I'm going to talk about the national interest waiver. And that is an opportunity for you to redeem yourself from any oppression. I used to tell you that like the national interest waiver, the NIW route, is the best way because sometimes our employers are very despotic. Some of them, they have some attitude, they will underpay you. But if through the NIW, there are a lot of ways of getting your green card. Some people you can marry if you have someone that you want to marry, but specifically, sometimes if you want to get be of your real self, and it's very, very easy to apply. You don't need, I used to tell people that just apply by yourself and believe yourself, and you can apply and you can win it. Okay, so today I'm now going to take you through in the NIW. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so now I'm going to start with the NIW. So who qualifies? A lot of African countries, all the African countries, you qualify for the NIW, especially the NIW EB2. Let me explain it for you. We have the EB1 and the EB2. If you want to apply for the EB1, you should get a lot of publications. That's why you can get it easily. So in the EB1, it can be a researcher, it can be a professor, someone who has a lot of publication in that area. That one, you are proving to them that you are good, you are expert in your area. And based on that one, you are of national interest. Although people will tell you that the EB1 is difficult, but I applied for EB1, I got it. I have some friends, they also applied for EB1. If you have good publications, even if you don't have good publication, sometimes some people don't even have any single publication, yet they can get that one. That one is the EB2. So the EB1 is for researchers, people who have maybe a lot of citation in that area. He has published a lot in that area. You can defend yourself. EB22, if you are from Ghana, Nigeria, all the African countries, you qualify for EB2. And I repeat, you don't need a lot of publications to get EB2. I have done for a lot of people. I've helped a lot of my friends. They got it very easily. You don't need a lot of publication. But the only thing is that you should prove to them that you are of national interest and your research that you are going to do is in the merit of America. America is going to get a lot of them. So don't be afraid. Sometimes some of them will just be saying, oh, I don't have a lot of publications. There is no harm in trying. $700, just use $700 and apply. If you don't get it, life must move on. But I know that most of people that I have helped and they have also applied, almost 90% of them. Some of them, they didn't believe themselves, but they use the EB2. So if you like, I will tell you, I will encourage you to use the EB2. You can get it. And who qualifies? In the EB2, you don't need, per reading the immigration laws, you don't need to have a master. It's the law mandates that if you have a bachelor's degree and you can prove to them that you have 5 years of working experience, you qualify for the NIW EB2. So if you can show them in terms of pay slip, in terms of appointment letter, if it is in US, that one, you can apply for the EB2 and get it. Because if it is outside US, mostly they find it difficult to verify your employment and all those things. So if you are in US, that you completed school 5 years ago and you are working and you can show to them, you can still apply for the NIW EB2 and you will get it. Another thing is that you should also get an advanced degree. If you don't have like those 5 years working experience, you can get an advanced degree. That is a master's degree. With a master's degree, after your master's degree, you apply for it. That is, you have shown that you are an individual with an advanced degree and your research that you are going to do, it is of national interest. Well, now let's go to all these categories. So how do I tell you that, oh, my research is of national interest? So in the EB, when the immigration officer is evaluating your thing, he will first of all look at it, who qualify? Do you qualify under the EB2 category? Well, you are from Ghana, you are from Nigeria, you are from Malawi, you qualify for that one. Do you have a bachelor's degree with 5 years working experience in America? Okay, you have that one, you qualify for that one. Or maybe you don't have 5 years working experience, you have master's degree. How do we show? Is the master's degree, is it in US or is it outside US? I went to school in China, so I did my master in China. So when I came here, as I was applying, I needed to send it to ESI. Do you have that? Education Evaluation Service Centers. I think it was $130. They will evaluate your certificate. So you add your bachelor. I added my bachelor's and my master's degree to it. Then they will evaluate it and they will send you a document, an original document. Mostly when you are sending it there, I needed to send my original document, my transcript, my certificate, and they will evaluate it. It's, I think we're using money order. I paid through money order, $130, and they will bring it back to you and verify, so that when you are sending your document, you attach that one, a photocopy of it. You take a photocopy and attach it to it, so that the immigration officers or the USCIS officers will know that, oh, you said you have an advanced degree. Okay, you said you have a bachelor's degree. How shows that it has been verified? The ESI has already verified for you. And also, even if you are going to those high schools and others, sometimes they want you to verify, you can show them to that ESI has already verified your master's degree and your bachelor's degree outside the United States. So remember that if you have 5 years working experience as a bachelor with a bachelor's degree, of which the research that you are doing or the work that you are doing is of national interest, is of merit, and comparing you to the United States, someone who is a citizen, like you have also that ability to compete and make you qualify for that one. So based on that one, well, the next one is that the immigration officer will now look at, okay, now you meet that requirement. EB1, okay, you have a lot. EB2, okay, you also meet that. So tell me, what shows that I should give you a pathway for your green card? That is where now, when you are writing, you now talk about your research or your course has something of substantial merit. Let me repeat. I know some of my friends, sometimes they will tell you that, oh, I am not a STEM. I'm not from STEM. Maybe I did social. I know one of my friends, we applied, we looked through, and it has been approved. He did social science. Another one also was social work. They all approved. So it doesn't matter whether you are from STEM or non-STEM, just prove to them, write it, and prove to them that your research that you are doing is of national interest. And after that, maybe from this one, I'll share you my experience about the document that I sent and how, so that you can use it as a guide to apply it yourself. Okay, so now let's look at what are the substantial merits and how, as an immigration officer or a USCIS officer, if he's evaluating your document that you bring to him. Can you hear me? Can you not hear me? All right. So, well, that is where now you are pulling to them, you are proposing to them that you are well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor and your area of specialization. Maybe your area of specialization is hydrology, food science, food chemistry, any area. That is where now you are going to elaborate, where you print government articles related to US, showing that there is a need for that research in your area. And that research is of what? National importance. That is where now, so if you can look at this one, this was as I was writing, this was what I wrote, introduction of your research. Okay, tell me more about your research. So you tell the person your research and how this research is very intriguing and how it is solving life. Maybe you are looking at autism, how you're researching autism. That is where I tell you that you bring articles, you attach a lot of articles related to your area. Maybe the need for autism, like the person that I was telling you that he was a social worker. We presented a data showing that the autism rate is increasing, and like you need people who are social workers to bring their findings and others. That is where now you write it. And in addition, the next one will be of what my proposed endeavor is of substantial merit. You cannot just come and tell me that, oh, I'm doing this research and that this like me, your own research that you think that is good, but is it of substantial merit? Is it in the interest of America? That is where now you write all those things. So your research, okay, what is the novelty of your research? What are you going to bring on board? Well, after that, then now you tell us that the USCI officer will now look at it. Okay, my proposal endeavor is of national interest. So is it going to help America? Is it in the interest of America? That is where you write that part and defend the need. That is why I said I'll add a lot of articles. You show Exhibit 1. So mostly when I'm writing, I write all those things and I say, see Exhibit 1.1. So let me show you some of those. Let me show you some of this is an example of my NIW EB2. So mostly the NIW, this is the cover letter. This is how you present it. So this was, I will write all these ones. That's why when I share with you all these ones, this is like, you can write it the same thing. So when I started, Isaac Diabuatin, this, and you talk about your research. You can see that over the years, I've had an interest in this. That is where now you write all those things. Then now you tell them that what the benefit of waiving a labor certificate for you. And that is where here now you are now telling them that I told you that who qualifies. So here you tell them that you are holding an advanced degree in food science, and you can see here, I tell you, kindly see Exhibit 1.1. You have attached access to everything to it for them.
Can't see that screen.
You said? Can you see that screen?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I think you have to close this screen to be able to share that one.
Okay, so this is the petition letter attached to a lot of document that you need to submit. So this was like one of my own that I sent. So the NIW, as I told you, you have the EB1 if you have a lot of, but if you don't have, still apply for the EB2, you qualify. Ghanaian qualify. Every African country, you qualify for the EB2. So apply it. So based on that one, this was how the cover letter was. And you write your name. These are the same thing. Then you see, I start from here, dear USCIS officer, I am Isaac Diabuatin, and this, I want to apply. Then why am I applying? Like the area of my research over the years, I've had an interest in maybe social science, I've had an interest in business administration. Tell them a little bit about it and your current research that you are doing. Then based on that one, you are telling them that the benefit of waiving your labor certificates, because I was a food scientist and I want to look at how those food, I can bring those technologies that can help global food security. And I also told you that one, who qualifies? You are telling them that you are holding a master's degree. So I told you that if you have a bachelor's degree with 5 years of experience, you qualify for that one. If you don't have that one, if you are doing a master, mostly if you are doing a master, unless you finish your master's degree, then you can apply, because that one classifies you as an advanced degree holder. So that time I was applying, I'm telling them that I have an advanced degree holder. Kindly see exhibit 1. That's why I was telling you that you add all your documents to it. So the immigration officer, when he's reading, he will go and look at your exhibit. Oh, okay. What shows that it has already been verified. So based on that one, you see here, then from here, I also talk about the need for my research. So nevertheless, these byproducts, so you can see from here, the agro byproduct, that is where you are talking about, you are giving a little summary of your research and how it is going to help the United States. So this is a summary of this one. And what is it going to help? The findings of this research is going to what? Contribute to the circular economy, because it is estimated that this is going to rate to. So you see, like this is so before this one, before the USCIS officer will now go deep into your thing, he has had a familiar, he's now familiar with whatever he's going to now read, and he can approve it for you easily. So based on that one, you are now going to attach your I-140, $700, that is money order or check, then other documents. So these were the documents, and these were the summary of all the cover letter you are going to write. So you show them the list of exhibits. That is the list of exhibits is going to show you all the exhibits you are showing from. Maybe after here, let me stop and stop share and show you those lists of. So the list of exhibits that I'm talking about, can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see.
All right. So these are the documents that you should attach to your cover letter if you're applying for the. So your petition letter will be exhibit 1.0, your advanced degree, the certificates, all of them, a photocopy of it, copy of your certificate, your transcripts, your bachelor's, your certificate and transcript. You attach your CV as an exhibit 2. Then, these were if you're a PhD student, you have to take your verification certificate. That one, you go to college, you can get it easily. Then you attach your transcript, your admission letter, your GRE or your TA. You attach all of them to it. And this is exhibit 3. The exhibit 3, that is where I'm telling you about the need for your research of substantial interest. So you are telling them that there are a lot of articles in your area that is showing that your research that you are doing is of merit. Every research in this world is of merit. It doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying that if you're a sociology student, if you are anywhere, you can still, there are a lot of articles that is showing that there is a need for you to focus on this research. So these ones exhibit, I downloaded all these articles that are related to my area to prove to them that there is a need. My research is of what? Merit. And also it is of national importance. Then the next exhibit that I got was recommendation letters. The recommendation letter, you don't need to get a recommendation letter from your professor. All my submission that I did, none of them was from my professor, or none of them was from my committee members. Question?
No, I think it was someone who was talking.
All right. So the recommendation letter, sometimes, I know graduate students, sometimes they are afraid that their professors will not let them. If you tell your professor that, oh, I'm applying for NIW for petition, maybe he will tell, oh, this guy wants to take his freedom. I'm not going to do this. So mostly Me, I didn't ask my professors. I didn't ask. You can ask your master's professors, like if you are starting with the master. But your current professor or not, well, if you have a good relationship or this, but some of them, they don't want. So mostly me, what I did was that I got, and you don't need someone who is close related to you. The trick that I did is that I got some people who I've never collaborated with, and they wrote it as an independent. You get people that you have collaborated with, and they will write it.
I give you my heart, oh, if I give you.
No, I think people need to get serious on here. I mean, you can't just be
come on.
barging and making noise, please.
Every day with you.
I continue, yeah.
All right. So with this one, what I will do is that what I did was that sometimes you can get some people from Ghana, some people from other countries, some people that you know, even them on LinkedIn, for them to write but they should have some little publications to show that like they are an independent person and they see that your research is of merit. Some people that you have cited them in your work, you can ask them to write for you. And mostly some people ask how many recommendations? 4 is enough. You don't need a lot. 4 is enough. Although like my own, I don't know, I got 7 because like I send it to 10 people and some of them will not decide to write. Like some of them might forget. Some people will send it. So it came to a point I have received enough. So don't look at my own and say, oh, your own is 7. So this 4 is enough. I have helped some friends that they applied, they had 4. One also even had 3. He was able to get it. Okay, so don't let that one. And the other exhibit is if you have attended conference, you see here your peer reviewed, your Google Scholar citations. It doesn't matter. That's why I say, even if you don't have, I know a friend from University of Arkansas, 0 publication. He got the NIWEB2. So don't be scared. And don't let anyone's own intimidate you. Apply for it. Just give out your best. So here, even if you don't have Google Scholar citation, prove to them, tell them the need that your research is of this and it is more of like industrial application or practical application or community application. In such a scenario, you can ask people who are NGO, maybe you're a social worker, someone who's an NGO, someone who is this, add their recommendation letter to prove that your research that you are doing is not more about like publication, it's about like making social impact and others. Then this is like I was peer reviewer, I added all of them. Then maybe other certificates, if you're professional organizations, you attach all those things. So these were all the exhibits. So when you see me telling you that exhibits, these were all the list of exhibits that you attach all of them to it. Okay, so now let me stop sharing this and go to the next one. So based on that one, as you can see from here, this was, so now as I'm starting, as I told you that, well, I'm telling them that who qualifies, I qualify, I have an advanced degree. Why? Then I tell them, so these were all of them. I was using the law, be guiding to the law section. They tell that a person who this. So based on this one, the person should show that he's an official with this. So I am proving to them that I have an advanced degree. Okay, then based on that one, based on I quoted these ones, now I am telling you that I have an advanced degree from this. Now I'll tell you that C exhibit what? 1.3. Okay, then I tell them that time I am applying, I was a PhD student on this. So see all those exhibit 2.1 that I showed you. Okay, then I tell them that I have a bachelor's degree. So based on that one, I've even worked for more than 5 years. And based on that one, why is my research more important? That I deserve the national interest waiver. That is where now you tell them that your research is more important and what is the need of your research. So prove to them, don't be shy. Don't say, oh, my research is more of this. Write anything to prove. You get it. Believe yourself. And based on that one, I also talked about my previous research that I have done and how it is making impact. So that is why I was here telling them the introduction of my research in ginkgo biloba. I told them that what I have done and the need for all those ones. So these were like, you are writing, giving references. Don't be scared by this. You can write some. By the time maybe you finish writing, you see that, oh, you've written a lot. Now, so you talk about your previous research and now you come to your main research now that you are doing. Now your research is of what? National merit. your research is of substantial merit, how your research is going to help contribute to maybe the development of a new model, the development of this. And if you have a funding for your research, you add this. So I added a funding for my research. So based on that one, now this one, because I am saying that it is of substantial merit, the next one is it of national interest? That is what America is interested. Okay, so that is where now you are going to prove to them. That is where I was telling you that you need to download government articles or articles in US that is showing your research. Download a lot. I think I downloaded more than 10. Attach all of them to it to prove to them that my research. So that's why you can see that global food security at C exhibits this. This one, C exhibits this. So the immigration officer, as he's reading your cover letter, he will go and look at your exhibits. And bear in mind that the immigration officers that don't have technical knowledge, that they don't have technical knowledge, like if you are going to give it to someone who is a food science, but they are looking at how you write, how it is of substantial merit. So don't go deep more into it. He's just looking at it. Oh, it is going to help. There are a lot of forms that he needs to take and all those others. So based on that one, you can see that I was writing. You read the articles, you are adding some of them. See exhibit 3.6. You add all of these ones. So that is where now you see when I was talking about those articles that I have read, that's why now I say that my research also comes in here. You understand? So based on those previous research articles, that government article, now that is where my research is now coming in. That is where now I now talk about my current research and why I did this research. So you write about all these ones. I know it's very long and tedious, but just believe yourself, you can do it. So based on that one, you see exhibit this, write this, exhibit this. So based on that one, you see here, that is where recommendation letter now comes in, because the people who write recommendations, they said something about you. That is where now you quote some of them. So you can see here, Dr. Tan, a professor of this, and I quote, this research will increase something. You quote that one. So the person, the USCIS office will go and read that recommendation letter. That alone will be increased, the likelihood of being approved. See here, Professor Clark, this. My research has enormous this. That is where your recommendation letter, you'll be looking at it, adding some of their content into your cover letter. Okay, then why are you going to do that research? Although your research is of national interest, if I tell you about corn, there are a lot of aspects of corn. So why are you specifically looking at a specific type of corn? That is where now you also write to them that maybe this is the need. You give them some exhibits, you understand? And based on that one, you tell them that your research, at the end of the day, your research is going to what? Advance the area of what? Specialization. You'll be quoting some law according to Danasa, this. You see, I am attaching a lot of evidence. So see exhibit 1 point something. So you attach a lot of evidence to it. Then you can see from here, I look at it, look at some of what some of the professors said about me, about my research. You can see that this professor quoted this, so I will quote what the professor has written. So Dr. Tan said something about me. Dr. Clark said something good about me, that my research, I'm a good researcher. So I attach all these ones to it. I'm quoting from that recommendation letter that what I have written. So based on that one, you see now, I have already explained to you that your research is of a substantial merit and it's of what? National interest. Then now, okay, what about you yourself? What is your contribution to that area? That is where now you talk about, oh, my contribution, that if you have attended a conference, it has taken me to conference, I've gotten a lot of publications, it has had an impact, I was able to go to this community to help. Attach all those documents to it. So this is where I was now talking about my contribution in the research of food science. So now you can see from here, sometimes I look at those recommendation letters, I quote it, what they said about my area, because some of them are experts in my area. So they will be quoting some of my research. So you can see here, Dr. Yan Xiaoming, here, Chen Xiumin. So he will just be some of them. Then I also tell them about my past research and its impact in that area. So in your past research, if you have attended any conference, if you have had any group together, even sometime in the school conference or anywhere that you have done the community work, you add all of them. That, okay, based on your research, that is why you got this one. Then this is where now you add about the next one, you talk about your awards and scholarship. Are you a member of any institution? You now attach all those institution letters to show that you are a member of, you are affiliated to this, maybe American Chemical Society, this. And if you have, maybe here I was proving to them that my research has had a lot of media coverage. So I tell them about Twitter, I tell them about some media organization that has been quoting my research and all those things. So you can tell them about, like, maybe even if like in the community, they have some media, they said something about it, print it out, okay, and attach it to them to show that, well, you deserve to be given that NIW. And these were like some of your conferences. So these were some of the publications. You show them your publications that you have done. So based on that one, then you also tell them about maybe conference you have attended and also social contribution. I used to tell people that when you are in America, you should contribute to prove to them that you are not only a researcher. All work and no play make Jack a dog. Maybe sometime you went to the community, you donated blood. You know, if you donate blood, they give you some certificates. They send it to you, print it out, okay, and attach it to it to show them that as a scientist. So here, I told them that as a scientist, it's not only about going to the lab and working. I also like giving to community, and I'm a blood donor. I get donated, so I attach all of them to prove to them that also, I also look at not only about the laboratory, I come to the community and also give out. These are some of the things that when the person is reading. And now, the final one is that ongoing research. What are the research that you are doing? So that is where now you look at some of your theses or some of the things that you are writing, you use it and add it here as your ongoing research that you are doing. So that time I told them that these are the ongoing research and these are some of the publications that has been done from my research. So I show them this one. Then I tell them finally your future plans, because we are going to give it to you. You are a graduate student, and at the end, are you still going to, do you want to just take the green card and after that don't continue and let that skills that we need from you contribute? So I told them that after here, I'm still going to continue my research in food science. So I gave them about some of the future research that I am planning to do. So these are some of the things that I wrote about the need for this research. And that is the first. So the chapter 3, it talks a lot about you. That is where the USCIS officer is going to look at that. Okay, so this one that I was explaining to you, this was introduction to your research area. Your proposed research has substantial merit. It has national interest, the need for research. I am well positioned. You are contributing to your field, your past records, achievements, awards and scholarship, membership and profession, media organization. If you are peer reviewer, ongoing research, that is it takes almost 80% of your cover letter. So this third one, and that is the defining moment that the immigration officer is, the USCIS officer is going to determine that, oh, let's approve it for you. Now you are on your pathway to your green card. So this, when you are writing this cover letter, these are the main things that you should look at it. And finally, you now go to the benefits of the United States waiving, a labor certificate for you. So that is where now you are going to highlight in the previous one, based on what I have done and based on this. Let me share that section with. So you see here, I wrote the benefit of the United States. Can you see this screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so here, the benefit of the United States to waive a job offer and labor certification for you. So based on here, you are quoting, that's why I quote that are as established in Danasa, this would benefit the United States, assuming that the other qualified US, so you are proving to them that even if they are US citizens, with your track record and your success in those areas, they should waive that one for you. So if you add that one, and based on that one, Isaac Diab-Watson has demonstrated this. So these are, and sometimes, as I told you, you look at a recommendation letter, you quote something that some of the professors or some of your friends or some of the researchers, they said something about you. So this was what maybe Dr. Kerry Clark said something. I will quote that one to prove that even if they are some citizens, I still deserve to be given that opportunity. You understand? So based on that one, this is how you write. So the fourth part is not so condensed. The third part covers 80% of your cover letter. And your cover letter is the most important thing when you are filing for your NIW. Because if you don't write it well and attach it with tangible documents and others, sometimes they will just reject it Another thing is that they will ask of also additional, if you, I know one of my friends, sometimes get close to people who are there to help you. That is why the community is very, I had a friend and that time he was doing it, he never told me. And later it came back and they gave him 5 pages comments that he should add this document, and he came back again and told me that this. I said, you should have told me, I could have helped you. We are in the same school, we are in the same apartments area. Why didn't you let me look through for you and all those things? And he submitted it. It took, when it happens like that, it is 2 options. The probability of you being rejected is maybe 70%. The probability of you being accepted again, like given a chance again, is maybe 70%. And even with that one, when that happens, and if you are applying for now petition, changing from a student status towards a green card application, they will look at that one because there were a lot of comments that you were giving. So they will look at that one. So that is why I say that take time and present it and send it. If they approve it directly, if you're applying for the now for your NI, your green card, that one is very, very easy for you. So based on that one, and these are some of the things also, finally, you add it to your F1 stamp, your passport photo, your current I-94, and all I-20 forms. So based on that one here, you now conclude, then you tell them that based on looking at all those exhibits, you qualify for the NIW. Therefore, I request that you look at my petition and grant me a national interest waiver. So the NIW, these are the cover letter that you write, and also your documents. Make sure that you arrange your documents very well. Add exhibits, so they have some stamp. Sometimes, if I have this document, I'll put those, is it the one that you can stamp it here? You write on here like exhibits, 1 date, and you arrange it. So that when the consular officer, the USCIS officer is reading, he read your cover letter. These are all, the other ones are all your exhibits. So when he read your cover letter, he go and check your exhibits and see that sometimes some of them too, it's not by, they'll look at it, it's not being arranged. They don't arrange it and they get rejected. So if you are an African, a Ghanaian, or it's only when you are from India and China that it takes a lot of time. And in China and India, if you want to apply to, sometimes you need a lot of publications in your area. But the EB2, I will tell you that immediately you graduate, apply for that one. Immediately you graduate, or even if you are in your first year of your PhD, apply, start application. That is what I did. Some of my friends, immediately after your first semester of your PhD, that is where you have gotten an official transcript. So you print those transcripts, but immediately, even in the first semester, start gathering all your documents. So you'll be left with only your transcript. So you're immediately at the end of the semester, you print your transcript, you attach it to all the documents, and now you submit it. So even you are in your PhD, your first year, your NIW has already been approved. And mostly it will take you maybe 1 year, sometimes 6 months for you to transition from your F1 status to now a green card holder. So still you'll be there, you'll be relying on your F1. So you know that definitely by the time that you graduate, you have already gotten your green card. And that paves a lot of way. You get a lot of opportunities if you are applying for jobs. So if you are applying for jobs with that one, because sometimes, although some of the jobs, they will be paying you well, but some of them, because you are applying this visa status, this visa status, they will just be sometimes be looking at all those things. And even with your NIW, that's why I was telling you that you write it in your on your CV. Why hire me? You don't need any work authorization. You are alien with what? Exceptional abilities. That alone, the hiring manager will now organize an interview for you. He wants to know more. This is a capitalist country. So please take this opportunity and apply for the NIW. I repeat, you don't need to get a lot of publications if you're applying for the EB2. Although if you have a lot of publications, you can get it very, very, EB2, you can get it very, very easily if you have a lot of publications. But I have seen some of my friends, I showed some of the Arkansas, some of them like other places, they have 0 publication, but they are recommended, they prove to them that their research is more of industry based. Okay, so these are how you apply for the NIW. And in addition to, I will encourage you that in terms of the job market, if you are applying, you should apply maybe 8 months or 1 year before you graduate. Yeah, because for the top jobs that I know, for the top job, it takes them maybe recruitment. Sometimes it takes them 3 months for them to reach a final decision. But if you have maybe only 1 month or 2 months to graduate and you apply for the job. They know you are so desperate for the job. That is where they will be underpaying you. They will give you this. But with this one, take this opportunity and apply in your free time, in your first year, apply for the NIW. And I also repeat it again. You don't need to have a master's degree. If you have a bachelor's degree with 5 years of experience, of which you can prove that you have 5 years of working experience with your pay slip, your appointment letter and everything, if specifically even in US, that shows that you have a bachelor, you have 5 years of working experience, and this was your offer letter. You can still apply for the NIW and get it. Okay, so this is one thing that I always encourage you, that you can do it yourself. Well, if you want to give it to a lawyer, depending on you, but me, I didn't have that money at that time. So look at all those things and see how, if you are applying, you apply. And I am sure that most of you will get it if you want to apply for the EB2, especially if you get it. If you are from Africa, from Ghana, from any places, that's why, to except of India. So that is one thing that let me see if I have another thing about the PPT. So that is all that I have for the NIW. So if you have any question or anything that you've heard about it, the myths, sometimes someone will say this, let me know. All right. Any question?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Boateng. So please, if you have questions for Dr. Dinko or Dr. Boateng, we'll take that now.
Yeah, hello.
People with questions can raise their hand. Please raise your hand so that we can go according to, like, we can make everything, like, quite planned. So I think the only person who has raised his hand is Idapa.
Yeah, thanks.
Before that, there were some questions on the chat.
Yeah,
So
I'm reading the chat right now.
a couple of them. Somebody is asking, what is the approach for those of us pursuing STEM degrees and do not have a research area? That's an interesting question. I wonder what you mean by do not have a research area. And because I don't know what you mean. Perhaps you want to clarify the question so that we can address it. And then somebody is asking how many publications is good enough.
That's why I explained to you that if you, all right, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, that's why I explained to you that in the NIW, you have the EB1 and the EB2. The EB1 is for people who have many publications, maybe 10 first author and above. Okay, and like people who have research, like they have higher level of research, they have been publishing in top journals and others. The EB1 is very fast. That one, I will tell you that is very, very fast. But that one, you should prove to them that you are a good researcher and your field publications are showing. But the EB2, you don't need any publication. Although if you have a publication, you have a very, very high chance. That's why I said that there are people that I have helped apply for the EB2. They didn't have any publication, but they got it. Some people too, they didn't have any publication. They asked them for a lot of information. So even if you have one publication or maybe two, I've seen one of my friends had 2 publications. It was approved. If you have a conference, you attach all of them to it. The only thing that you want to prove to them that your research that you are doing is of national interest. So if you don't have any publication, you can get recommendation letters to prove to you that your research that you are doing, it doesn't involve more of publication. It is like more of social impact. You go, like, you are doing research and it's looking at the NGOs. Like if you are telling me, let me give you an example, someone who is like in the medical field, sometimes it will take maybe 3 years or 4 years because it's 4-year research that they are doing. So such a scenario, you write and you let the recommenders write on it that your research is taking a lot of time and is having a lot of impact and it is more of societal issues. That alone, there, you will give it to you. That's why I said, like, you don't need a lot of publication if you are applying for the EB2. But if you have a lot of publication and you are applying for the EB2, I can tell you that 99.9% you get it easily.
Yes, so there are other questions on the chat as well. Can someone apply for both EB1 and EB2? Yes, you can. There is another question. Do you apply for the H1B after you get the job offer or the employer applies on your behalf. Typically, so if I'll talk about the case with CAP exempt. So if you get a job offer from a college or a university as an assistant professor or as a lecturer, the next logical step they would take would be to apply for you. So typically they will apply for you. So you get a job offer, and then the employer will file H-1B on your behalf. Can we? Somebody is asking for numbers. Can I also? Yes. So back to the question on the being in STEM and not having a research area. Well, first of all, I think that is a bit strange to not have a research area if you're in STEM. I don't know what you mean by that, but the advantage is that if you're in STEM, then you're given some form of priority in some extent, even though in the social sciences, you can also get the EB1 and national interest waiver. But if you are in, for instance, you are in anything related to computer science, computational mechanics, whatever, those fields are places that makes it a lot easier for you to get. And just to add to what Ike said, I know a lot of people who have had EB1 with 0 publication. I know a lot of people who have had EB2 with 0 citation. And so it depends on how you write it. But if you are not so sure what you want to do, if you're not comfortable with the long process associated with the EB1 or EB2, the other way is to go the H-1B route for just as a placeholder. And then as time goes on, you can transition to the H1 EB1 or EB2 category. And one thing to say, so I talked about it, but I want to emphasize this. So mind you, some of the visas, you are competing with other people. And so other nationalities, Indians and Chinese, they will outwork you.
Yes.
Any day, any given day, they are going to outwork you. If you're spending 12 hours, they are going to spend 13 or even 23 hours.
You know,
on the same subject.
I stayed in China and I did my master in China, and that is where I told people that the Chinese masters is too difficult. It's like a PhD in US. Yeah. So if a Chinese student come from China and he's doing a PhD with you, you are already in a disadvantage, because there in China you should publish in a top journal in your master before you can graduate. They will never let you graduate if you don't publish. So this person knows how to arrange data, how to organize data, how to publish. So you realize that the person will enter the lab 1, 2, 3. He will just be generating data and publishing. So that is what you are saying, that if you get someone from China, some India, they will outwit you. So that is why I always tell you, in your free time, make good use of your time. There are a lot of things that you can learn in YouTube. Me, I learn everything in YouTube. Take that opportunity and learn it.
Yeah, I think Ike has already answered this question, Benis. Yes, you can apply for your EB2 when you are doing your PhD. Must your study area of your publication or research be USA? No. I am in the process of securing a job offer with a company I intend with. I graduated in May and would want to stay ahead. Although I'm communicating with the company about filing for me, what would be some helpful next steps?
All right.
So what industry is the company? That is a very important question. So if the company satisfies the CAP exempt for H-1B, you don't have to worry too much, because that is an easy way out. If they are not in CAP exempt, then they will have to just throw in your application for the H-1B, and through lottery, you may get it.
Okay, let me also add to it. There is also another way you know, if you have finished a graduate degree or a master or any a PhD, OPT, you have 3 years for
Yes.
STEM, and non-STEM you have 1 year. You can even extend. So even if the company is not doing the H1B for you, use your OPT. You have 3 years,
Yes.
and within that time, you don't need the company to file for you. You still depend on your OPT for 3 years. Then from there, you now use that opportunity to apply for your NIW.
Yes, and just to add on that, Ike, so if you are completing and you are applying for a job and they ask you whether you need work authorization, you just tell them that you do have work authorization, because you could easily use your OPT to cover for that period. You can tell them, be honest, look, listen, I have work authorization, but I may need at some point in time, I may need work sponsorship later on. But I had a Mexican friend, and of course, Mexico has a favored status with Canada when it comes to immigration in the US. But especially in the last administration, things were a bit tougher on Mexico. So what she did was that each time she applies for a position, she would just say that I have work authorization. Her intent was to use the OPT. And so explore that opportunity. Within that 3 years, you should be able to file for H1B or even file for EB1, EB2. I think Ampofo's hand is up.
Yeah, I think we've had his hand up for a while now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to know how many years are given to individuals who are granted EB1 or EB2. And then the second question is, if you are in PhD and you apply for EB1, EB2, and you are granted, should you continue or stop and find your way out?
Leave.
That is interesting.
Yes.
EB2, EB1 are green cards.
So
right.
let me come in.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
EB1 and the EB2 means that your pathway to your green card has been approved.
Yes.
So when they give you you approve your EB1 or your EB2, if it is EB1 now, you go to visa, just go to online, type visa bulletin for December. You can see that all those under EB1, current. So that means that immediately they approve your EB1, you file for your green card, you can get it.
Away. Away.
But if it is EB2 now, if you have approved your EB2 now, you type visa bulletin for December, because now it's for the December. You can see that those people that they approved their EB2, those that it was approved in December 2023, now those people that from December 2022, November, October, all those times that they approved your own, maybe that was the time that you submitted. So they count it based on the time that you submitted your petition. So if you submitted your petition in December 1st, 2022 or January 1st, 2023, now it's on January 1st. That means that if you submitted your petition in December 15th, 2022, and it's approved, submit your other documents for your green card processing. That is where now you do biometric, they will go for interview and others. So it depends. In addition to, you also said that if you're a PhD and don't bring that in your mind, because the fact that they have approved, maybe you've gotten your EB1, EB2, you're a PhD, so you quit. Remember that the green card, they can terminate it at any time. So that means that your intention was not to finish your PhD and contribute to national interest. Your intention was to get your green card through your PhD process and now quit. Then what is the need for you when you are applying? You show to them that you are doing a PhD and others. Remember that even if they approve your EB1, EB2, you are still an F1 student. So when now you file for your green card and you do biometric and they now give you a green card, that is when now you tell your school that you are no more in F1. This is your green card. You showed it to them, the green card. You are no more in the F1. That is where the immigration officer in your school now remove you from the F1 list. But as far as that they approve your green card for you, your EB1, EB2, and you are still a student, you are under F1 until you follow all the procedure, because when they approve it for you, the next one is now you are going to petition. And if it is EB2, if you are applying this December, you still need to wait for maybe 1 year for you to get your actual green card. But one thing about the EB1, the EB2, all of them is that if they approve it for you and you have completed university and you are working, that one you can apply for EAD.
Yes.
They will give it to you because they know that now you are not a student, you are working now. So they want to give you the EAD as you are waiting for your official green card. Because even if they approve, you are still a student and they approve your EB1, EB2 petition for you, and you are applying for work authorization, they will ask you, but you are already a student. So why do you need that work authorization to go and do an extra work? That is where sometimes they will ask you to come for interview. They will be asking you some questions. So I will never encourage you that if you get your EB1, EB2, and you are doing a PhD, you quit. No, never do that.
Okay, but I think what Dr. Abu wanted to know is that, okay, you've gone through everything, your petition has been approved, and then maybe you're in your second or third year of the PhD, it's not like you are suffering, and now you have your green card. Can't you leave?
But why?
Yeah,
That's interesting to me. I mean, I would not go through PhD up to the third year and wants to abandon.
No.
1 more year and you have your certificate.
1 year do you have? Just 1 year and all those things.
It's a personal risk that you have to take. If you decide to leave, of course, know that if you decide to leave before your green card is posted to you, is mailed to you, or EAD and all that, I think there's a risk that you have to bear. There's a risk that you have to bear. I wouldn't hazard that.
In addition, when you are submitting for your green card, when your EB1, EB2 has been approved and you are submitting your green card, you attach your F1 status, everything. They will look at the immigration office. They will look at online and they will see that, you have already quit school. And immediately you quit school, you have 60 days to leave this country because you are out of status. So that's why I'm telling you that don't try to outsmart because you have seen all this. This is not the first time they are seeing such a scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they kill somebody, hand is also
hello.
Yeah,
so I think I had a follow-up question. With respect to the work experience, is a graduate assistantship roles position also considered as a work experience in the US?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have been paid. They pay you, that's why they give you social security number.
It's full, it's partial, it's part-time work, and it's actually valued, right? You can link that job experience to as evidence of working in the interest of the US, because you are teaching students, you are training the next generation of Americans in science and technology or whatever, like social work, whatever that you are in. Yeah. So
thank you.
Okay. I think we'll go to the next person. I think is it Dapa, EK Dapa. If he's not.
No, my question is already answered. So
okay. Unless they kill God. Please make it English. We have
someone said it looks like EB2 is for PhD student. Is that the case? No.
Why should I compose you make it English, bro?
No, there are other people on this call. So
okay, I'll get to Finn. It's fine.
All right.
I saw someone wrote that is the EB2 only for PhD student. No, even if you're a master student and you have, that's why I told you that even if you're a bachelor, you finish your bachelor's and you have 5 years of working experience, offer letter, pay slip, and everything to prove to them that you have 5 years of working experience, you qualify for the EB categories. In addition, if you have a master, someone can finish master. That's why I said that if you have a master degree and you are graduating now, you have 3 years of OPT. So you are starting a job. You are doing a job. So that one, you have already master's degree. So you can use that one to apply.
Yes. I know a Nigerian lady with a master's in cell and molecular biology who got an EB1 with 0 publications. 0 publications. So you don't need a PhD. You don't need to be a PhD to do that. You need to demonstrate that you are an exceptional individual. And so how you demonstrate that is up to you. So PhD, yes, of course, is a great degree, but it doesn't mean that you're necessarily an exceptional individual.
Okay. I think there are a lot of questions, but we have other sections of the webinar that we just want to get through. That initially our plan was to like take the questions and answers at the end of the webinar, but I think there are a lot of questions. But I think Mieza would be joining to talk about the OPT, because since he's using his OPT now. So I don't know if he's ready, so that we can take most of the questions and answers at the end of the webinar. So Mieza.
Yeah, Kwesi.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. So I'll be talking about the OPT, which basically means, well, I didn't prepare slides, so let me just show you one screen. So that, because the EB1 and EB2 people are showing levels. How do you share screen? I'm sorry. Okay, seen it. Okay, so OPT is a optional practical training that allows students on F1 visa to take temporary employment in an area related to your studies. And OPT is 1 year, so you can compare this to your national service in Ghana. But for the OPT, so there's two forms or category. That's the pre-completion OPT or post-completion OPT. And as we've been hearing from the H1B and then EB1, EB2, OPT is like your mark time before the race or the sprint. So if you're able to secure a job, you cannot easily transition from F1 to H1B before you start work. If it happens for you like that, based on the time when you're graduating, and no, it will still take time even when you're selected for H1B to transition. And as they rightly said, you have just 60 days to legally live in the US if you are done with your coursework and you have your degree, which moving from F1 to H1B will take more than that. So you would need something legally before that, and that's when OPT comes in. So for OPT, you can take CPT. I think someone else will talk about CPT, but also there's pre-completion OPT that you can take. And mind you, OPT in general is just 12 months. So if you're able to take your, say, 2 months pre-completion after school, you have just 10 months. So it's not like you can take 12 and then go back to school, finish school, and take another 12. No, in total, you have just 12 months or 1 year. And if you are considering the pre-completion OPT, that one is you have to have a part-time job. So you are strictly going to be bound by working 20 hours. But if you are doing post-completion OPT, you are not restricted because you don't have any school. So you can work, there's no restriction on work hours. And then changing from F1 to green card doesn't reduce or restructure your OPT. So when you're on OPT and then you're able to get green card in the process, it doesn't reduce the OPT or the restructure your OPT. It's still 12 months. Now for the OPT, we talk about how to apply for OPT. So to apply for OPT, you have to send it to every school might be different, but I'll just talk about my process. So you have to send your offer letter from the company that has employed you. And then you fill out a form depending on your school, but you fill out a form, which this is an internal form with the school. And then you send it to your lecturer, course advisor, program coordinator, whoever will do that for you to sign. And then they will forward it to your Center for International Education or your DSO in this case. So depending on your school, but the thing is, there has to be internal proof and checks that you actually have a job offer and then you're applying for OPT. So your DSO will have to recommend you to USCIS first So they'll give you another I-20. When you start this whole process, there's a lot of I-20s that will be going back and forth. So they'll recommend you, and then that's when so that means you have been approved from the school first. And then after that, you go to USCIS website, and then you apply for employment authorization. So OPT is giving you like the legal opportunity to work in the US for 1 year, as I said. And then that form is Form I-765. I'm putting this link in the chat. So how do you tell if your program is STEM or not? If you can see the screen now, if you look at your I-20, I remember before coming, people were complaining during the visa interview sessions that my program is master of whatever, and they put some on it. So if you look at this I-20 here, it says Major 1, Management Sciences and Quantitative Methods, ADA. And then the code here is 52.1399. Now I'll put this link here so that you can check on your own. You all have your own I-20s. So you take your I-20, go to that section of it, program of study, and then you take this code or just look at the name that has been given to your program. And then you come to this link. I'll put this link in the chat, STEM designated degree program. And then you search for, I don't want to search, I think mine is the last one. So when you come here, 52.1399, Management Science and Quantitative Methods, ADA. That's what you saw on that I-20. So that shows that that program, which in actual sense is called Master of Accountancy, is a STEM program. So that is how you're going to be able to tell that this is a STEM program or not. Now, going through the application, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that you watch, like it's a step-by-step process, which is not tedious. It is very, very simple and easy. But there are two ways of expediting it. If you go to the normal way, you pay $420. And if you want it quicker, you pay $1,500 for premium processing, which I would say that you don't have to pay that. But if you have $1,500 to spend, then you can go for that route. And how long does it take? You have to, so before you finish your coursework or degree, not when you are graduating, the last day of school. So you have 90 days before the last day of school. That's when you have to apply for because it's 120 days, that's 90-60. Forgive me if the math is not right, but it's 90-60. So 90 days before your last day of school, that's when you are able to apply for OPT. And then the reason is that it usually takes a month or two for you to have your EAD. That's what they were talking about. EAD is the Employment Authorization Document card. So EAD card, and that shows it has your name and your details, and basically that's your proof of, that's what it shows that you have been approved to work on OPT for that 1 year. So don't forget the timelines. If you're about to graduate from school, you have an offer. And for those who don't have offers, but they still want to graduate from school, you can still go for OPT, because there's OPT that we call self-employment OPT. So you can still go for OPT, whether you have a company to put on there or not. You can still say that you are self-employed. So, well, that's for the people who do their own stuff, like you do Uber, some. If you want time for that, you can still graduate, take your OPT, and put it under self-employment, and then you can go on from there, depending on how you want to navigate the process. So you make sure that you apply 90 days before the last day of your coursework so that at least you have 60 days. And mind you, once you apply and you're approved, you have to start working within that 60-day period. So if usually the challenge there is some companies give you an offer, but they don't give you a specific start date. So let's say they say you are employed to start work in fall 2023. But fall is very general and vague. So which day are we talking about? And the 60 is 90 days before your last coursework date, and then 60 days after that. So your start date should be within that 60-day period. If it comes after 60 days, even though your OPT has been approved, you are illegally living in the US. So you have to make sure that your employment start date is going to be within 60 days after your last day in school, which usually you should see. Oh, so you can see from, if you are looking at the screen now, it says program start date 15th August, and then the last day was 4th August 2023. So with this I-20, you have to make sure that you are starting work by 3rd November. Otherwise, even though your OPT has been approved, you have an EAD card, you'll be living illegally in the US. So if that makes sense, then talking about the STEM for the STEM program, so normal OPT is 1 year, 12 months. After that, if your program is not STEM, if you don't see your program on this list, then I mean, you should be considering NIW and all the others that they've talked about. But if not, and you've still not been able to get an H-1B from that employer or a different employer, then if you're on STEM from here, you go back to USCIS after 1 year, and then you apply for the STEM extension. So it's the same OPT, but they will extend it for you for 2 more years because you are your program is a STEM program. So that will be all for me, and we can move on.
Okay, thank you, Mirza. I think we'll just take some quick questions, like 1 or 2. I think, yeah, Vivian has some questions in the chat box that maybe you, is it Vivian? No, Kwame. Does one need to secure a job before applying for OPT and EAD before the 90 days starts? And second, if one is able to secure an EAD, does the 60 days grace period still apply?
I said there's self-employment OPT. So if you don't have a job, and mind you, the self-employment OPT is just for that 1 year. You can't use, even if you're on STEM, you can't use self-employment for 3 years. You can only use self-employment for 1 year. So if you don't have any company to put on your OPT application, you can say you are self-employed and then you stay here. And I mean, you should be able to find a job within that 1 year. But as one of the presenters said, you basically have to be thinking 1 year ahead. Honestly, once you step foot in the US, you think 1 year ahead. Otherwise, time will catch up very quickly with you and you become out of status. So all the time you're looking at 1 year ahead and then you're planning accordingly. So
okay.
yes, you can do OPT without a company under self-employment.
All right, okay. So that's for the OPT presentation. Another aspect I want to talk about is especially for those who just came this fall, navigating and finding internships in the US. So I think the presenter for that one is going to be Dr. Traveler. Are you around?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, great. I'm currently not home, so I don't really have my slide with me, so I could just talk about it, and then you have another question, I can address that. So to start off, I'll just look at, I'm talking about how to navigate through the internship programs and all. So how to apply. So generally, applications, I would say, should start very early. So probably looking somewhere when you come. So this is the thing. So I was fortunate enough to have friends who were already in my school that told me about how this internship thing works. The company, they start recruiting somewhere at the end of summer. So probably August, September, November, that's like they started recruiting for next year, like internship. So I was fortunate enough to be told by my friends here that, oh, even though you've not been to class, you've done nothing, taken no courses, just apply. Make your CV great and then just apply. So I'm like, okay. So I was even skeptical about the whole thing, thinking that, oh, why would I apply if I don't really know? I just came here, then I just like 2 days, 3 days I should apply. So I just skeptical about it. But then I still heed to the advice. Applied as much as I can, like to every company that I can find that's related to my position and all that. And then I kind of had some interviews and some rejections too. So this is basically how I went about it. So just have a good CV. With good, I don't mean extraordinary. Just like put in your school that you attend. Most companies ask for the undergrad too, so both undergrad and masters, and go on to your work experiences or let's say, yeah, where you've worked, and then your employment stuff, information, just put that on there. And also you can also put in your skills. So I basically divided mine into 3, the software skills. I was applying for data science role, let me put it that way. So I divided into 3, which was the software skills, my what other stuff, the platform, the tools I use, and also some other stuff, some other like certifications that I've done. And the last part was the voluntary section. So here I talked about like I'm not only being in school for school or just working. I actually have other communities or other organizations that's either I'm part of the e-board or I'm part of I'm just a member. So my CV had all those stuff and I applied. So like I said, I applied very early, mostly during like when you just come or during at the end of like just for the first like season. Like now, you should be applying. So I basically just, because I was uncertain how many will companies will pick me or not because of my like status and all that, I applied a lot. So I was doing at least 5 applications per day. It's a lot. I applied, I don't remember, but not less than 200 companies. Like, it's a lot. You do that because you are not sure who will pick you. Because if you're applying, I think they've already started on it. They asked about work authorization and all that. So people ask, are you now like, I do have work authorization? Then that's it said, just take yes for that. And with the other part, we asked for, will you now or in the future require sponsorship and all that? That part, literally, yeah, in some way or the other, you require sponsorship. But if you take yes, some companies have like this filtering AI stuff that works behind your application. So they don't even go to a recruiter. So they use your answers that you answer in these like applications to just like filter people who are qualified or not. So when you type in yes for you need sponsorship now in the future, most often than not, you even get past the filtering stage. You just be dropped by the AI. Like just drop it, then they'll give you a rejection. Because I remember at first that's what I was doing, and then like 2 or 3 days, I get my rejection. And a friend told me that, well, in this case, although you will need it, but don't quote me on this. Don't say I did lie, but then I kind of lied a little about that. That, oh, I don't need sponsorship. So I just went for it. And when you do that, sometimes you get like the interview, people will call you that, okay, I saw this profile, then I want to talk about your experience and all that. So at that section, I won't say lie, but don't quote me. But then I just take no for that. I don't need sponsorship. And then, yeah, that helped me like get past the filtering stage to other, like to get in contact with the recruiter and all that. And that way, it's also that I was applying through LinkedIn, Indeed, and other ones. So in LinkedIn, it's encouraged that if the job is posted there, look at who posted it. If it's a company, then cool. If it's not the company, but rather a recruiting like person or someone who's a recruiter in that company, try to connect with that person and then send it like a message that, oh, I saw this job here, then I think I'll be a good fit for it. And then I get my CV so like try to connect with them on LinkedIn first before you apply. So apply, then you connect with them. And that's at least once they say, oh, okay, nice to meet you, then you just move from there. You can schedule a meeting aside your application with them and then have that one-on-one conversation with them. Then that can also help. I didn't get any of that. I messaged people and all that, but then some said that, okay, go look at my CV in the application form, not like a one-on-one stage. But then you could still apply that. You could still use that means and see how that works for you. So basically, so that's what I did. So that's just about the application stage. Now moving on to the what's the other part? Hold on, let's see if I can get that. Like what we expect at the workspace. So generally, with where I went to Signal. I don't know whether most of you are familiar with that, the Signal group. So that's where I went with as a data scientist intern. So at that part, mostly, I think just what you expect. I was doing the healthcare, I was in the healthcare sector. So mostly what we were doing were relatively new to me and all that. But then they still gave opportunity for you to learn. So they regard you as an intern. So they see you as someone who is bringing like a fresh knowledge from college and all that, but they don't also expect too much from you. If you want to be extraordinary, then cool. But then they don't really expect too much from you. You could just like do your best. That's what I would say. Do your best. Because most of the times I knew Python and other programming language, but I've never used PySpark before. But then because of the department I found myself in or the team I found myself in, they were literally using PySpark most often. So I just have to, if I don't know, just ask. Okay, where I went, like they said that, oh, I don't worry about whether I know it or not. I'm just here to learn and then see how things work in a company. So just ask questions, and then you'll be fine. So I had a great team that really helped me during my time and all that. It was very, very cool. So just expect the best. Just put in your best. Don't be extraordinary. Don't try to impress anyone. Just do what you are told to do, and then just let's say, just complete your tasks. And then there was regular check-ins with my manager and all that. So that also helped me out, and then everything in that fold. And then the key thing that you should also know that you should network. That's the one key thing. So try as much as possible to network. Once you're in that space, network with people. Whether they're your manager, they're your team, they are not, just network with them. You could just message them like in the company's like email like group or something that, oh, I saw your profile, I think you're very cool. I just want to have a one-on-one chat with you to look at what you are working on and all that. Just network with them, and then you know where you find yourself one day, and then it will help you. Good. So yeah, one thing I left out is that mostly with these internship programs, some will not really like give you an offer after the internship program, maybe when you complete school, but some do. So that's what you look at it. So most companies that do that, they have what we call the development program or the early career program. So either the development or the early career program. So this is what they do. So if you get into these jobs or these positions as interns, they are literally just training you for a full time. Like that's it. You are getting in for a full time. So once you do your best, you do that so you can, you get there full time. So look for when applying, just look for when you have like, because the development program and the early career, just apply to these sections, and then mostly once you're done with your internship, you'll be offered if the company like has room for you, you will be offered. But some companies, it's just an internship. When you're done, you can just go and then go to a different company. They don't care. But when you apply for these development programs or early career programs, there's a room, like they are training you to employ you. So once you do your best and then they like you, that's all. So unfortunately, I did not get in mine. Why? Because so this is what happened with mine. Let me just say what happened with mine. So with mine, I applied, and the company actually stated that they do not sponsor. So they do not require people who don't need sponsorship to apply. And as usual, I said no, that I don't need sponsorship. So that's how I got into the internship program. So I got in and then I did everything. They knew I need sponsorship and then all that. So later on, after the interview, after the internship and all that, they called me and they're like, oh, they realized like I didn't have like the green card, or let's say I'm not a citizen. So my status changed. So that's where I was like, oh, well, I'm currently still filing for I'm using the NIW approach and all that. And then they're like, oh, okay, cool. But then it's like the uncertainty. I could be picked or not. So they're not really sure about my uncertainty. And then this position, they don't really sponsor. So even though they can allow me to go forward with that, but then because of the uncertainty whether I'll be granted my visa change or not. So they had to drop me. So I did well, which I was supposed to be paid or in a way, but then they said because that program, what I applied to, they don't really sponsor, so they dropped me. But then other my colleagues and all, most of them had it, and then it was all good. So I think I was the only one who wasn't like I'll say what I call like Ghana Takashi to enter that internship program because it wasn't really for me. But then I still applied it, taking no, went to the interview, about 3 interview stages or something, and I convinced them that yeah, I'll be a good fit in the program and all. But then a long round, I didn't get the program because of the issue with the filing. So this filing thing is really a big issue. But then still, I think you can maneuver around it and then get it going. So that's what happened in mine. So just look out for that. Just try to see how you can convince them why they need you and all that, and then see how it goes. And after that, I think that's basically it. That's let's see. Yes, like I said, so just apply around this season, like every day. You can set like a quota, like every day 3 applications or 2, or like it will be consistent. Don't just apply for one and like, oh, let me stop and then move on. No, because some companies you won't even like. Do you even hear from them? I literally just heard from one last week. Someone that I applied last year, I heard from them last week that they didn't pick me. So just apply as much as you can, and then hopefully with God by your side and everything, you should get it. So I think I'll end here. If there's any other question that's like me to address, I'll just talk on that.
Okay, thank you, man. I think we have like 2 hands raised, and then our last topic for the day would be PhD navigating and like working on PhD. So Mies, I think your hand went up first. I don't know whether you have a question or you want to add something to it. And then Wangido.
I just want to add up to what he said with the AI algorithm and the like outright rejection. If you are applying for jobs and you are putting a Word document, CV or resume on there, know that you are not even going to get selected. A human being will not even see it. So make sure that from your applications, you are using a PDF. Save your resume as a PDF and put it on there. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Wangido.
With the internship, I wanted to also ask about the accommodation. Should you also look at accommodation as a factor before you apply, or any company you just see, you just put in your application?
So I'll say it depends on you. Because what I had accommodation, like they paid for everything, my flights, accommodations. So I literally just had to pay for food, basically. Even the food, sometimes they had lunch and all that. So I really enjoyed it. Like I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed during my time because I was just chilling. Yeah, I was just like enjoying. But then it depends on you too. If your circumstance can help you or can accommodate you moving to a different state or whatever and still be comfortable, cool. But if not, I think you can just tell them that it's a long journey, or if they can do remote, that's cool. If not, then you just have to drop it. But then for now, just apply to me. I'll just apply. Then when the connection comes, that's when you say, okay, I have this. Let me do. Because if you apply, you're not paying money to apply. You are paying literally nothing. The internet is literally not free, but literally free in a way. Just your time that you used to apply. So just apply. Once you get the offer, you get the interview. If you don't get the job or you don't get the offer, or you end up not going, at least you've been to an interview and you've seen how they ask their questions, how the US system is. I was very nervous about that because I didn't want to go to any interview at all because I didn't like it. Because I was new here, as I said. I didn't know what's happening here, how they conduct the interview. I was very nervous. But once you even go to about 3-4 interviews, then you are cool. Now you'll be very okay. You'll be very prepared for any other interview that you might face now, or maybe join your like a real job. So just apply to me. Just apply. It takes nothing from you. And then if you come and then you throw in the offer is still not good, you can just drop it. Because I had 2 offers basically. One was a remote, and the one was like going to Philly to have that experience. Then I chose Philly because I just want to be in a new state. That's why. If I'm not, I've gone with the remote job, but then the remote still be in my room. It wasn't helpful for me. So I said, just apply. I think when the offer comes, then you can decide on what to do.
And then last one,
can you please drop some of the resources you use in searching for the jobs? We know LinkedIn, we know Indeed and Handshake and all that, but if there are any others that you think could be helpful, you can at least share it with Kwame or on the platform, and then.
I also use Google a lot. Google in the sense that Google just like mostly do a Boolean search, like what you want, data science or early career or development program, like do that Boolean search. When it comes, some will let you apply on a third-party app and stuff like that. Don't do that. Like get that site or that job description or whatever they're looking for and go to the company site itself. Because if you end up applying that way, even Handshake, some do that. Some Handshake, I applied about 50 or 60. I didn't really get any proper response from them because I was just applying on Handshake. But then go to the company's Handshake. Sometimes they refer you to the company's like external site itself, or apply on the company's site itself, not those third-party apps or whatever. Sometimes it goes through, but then I don't trust most of them. So make sure I search on Google, see that okay, this company is hiring, and then if it directs me to a company's site, then cool, I'll apply. If not, I'll make sure I get to the company's site before I apply. So I think literally I just use like what I said, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, just search on some companies, and then also their Handshake, and also Google. Google really also helped me a lot in applying for these positions too. So you could just use a.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark. So I think a very brief one, the final presentation, then we just take questions and answers. No, that'll be it. Budu.
Yeah, what's up?
We are fine. What's up?
I'm cool.
All right. So tell us about PhD.
Okay. I will start by. I can only best say it by sharing my experience actually. So, I will start with academics actually. So, you see in Ghana, there was this one big lie that education in the US is very easy, and it's not easy, as we are being lied to in Ghana. Because in Ghana, we were taking about 8 courses a semester and we were cool, but here, taking even 3 courses will stress you a lot. So I didn't know that one. I had that mindset that school in the US is very easy. So when I came and I was choosing my courses, I was advised to choose 2 courses and a research hour. And I was like, no, in Ghana, I was taking 8 courses and 10 courses, so I can do the 3. And that semester wasn't easy for me at all. So what I will also advise is that when you are taking your courses, you should, if you have the opportunity to choose the research hour, you can do it. And one thing is that maybe you want to also do a certain course, but you are not allowed to, because we have a limit credit that you are supposed to take every semester. That's like in the fall and the spring, I think you have 9, and in the summer you have 6 credits. But if you want to take another course, you can actually audit that course. So it won't reflect in your transcript, but you can talk to the instructor of that course that maybe you find this course interesting and it will help you in your research. So you want to audit it. So you can just take that course. You won't be graded, and it won't appear on your transcript, but you have knowledge on that. So that's one thing I'll say. And the other thing is, to do well in the US is more of you have to work on your assignments. That's how I see it personally. In my school, you get your A when you do your assignments. That's how my school is. So, and the assignment will take much of your time. So you have to plan well. You have to structure your activities very well and know the time you allocate for your assignments and stuff. Your research, because the research is very necessary. So you have to plan well and do your assignments on time, meet the deadline, do them on time. And one thing is also dealing with supervisors or advisors. So I was told by my advisor that if you have any problem and you come to her, like they feel irritated, because if they tell you to do a certain task and you run into a problem, then you go back to them. I had no, try something, like just think outside the box, do something. If you had the error, fine, you've tried it and you couldn't do it. So with that, you can go to them that, oh, you told me to do this and this and this. I couldn't do it. So I tried this and it didn't work too. That one is fine. But being like you run into just one, then you go back to them and you be moving to and fro from the office. That thing doesn't help. So when you are given a task to do, just do it. If you can do it, just try something. And if you run into errors, then you have a case. You can just go to them that, oh, you tried this and it didn't work. And yeah. And also here you have to ask for things. If you need something, you have to ask. Because in Ghana, we are not really taught that practice of going to a high authority, asking for things because of shyness or what they will think of. But you have to be very cool. You have to be open-minded. You have to ask things from your lecturers, your advisors, everyone. If you need help, just go and ask, and they'll help you. And also, you shouldn't only concentrate on your academics and your research. At least have some time for yourself to have fun, engage in extracurricular activities. Maybe you go for games, like to refresh your mind. And yeah, because else you get bored. Because all your life will be school, and you get bored. So just take time for yourself. If you can travel on breaks, you can do that. You go for games, make new friends with your make new friends, join organizations or associations in your school. If African Student Union or Ghanaian Student Union, anything, just join. And yeah, that thing too helps, because they can really help you when you are in tight situations. They can really help you. And the next thing is finances, because I actually thought, because I had full funding, I wasn't going to pay for anything. So like when I got I was spending a lot. And I later got an email that I have this fee I'm supposed to. I was like, why? Because I know like full funding, I'm not supposed to pay for anything. And I went to ask, and they were like, oh, there is this insurance thing. I don't know if it's the same for all schools, but I know most schools, even though you have full funding, you have to pay something. So if you don't have any knowledge about it, like me, please, if you don't know, you have to ask about it. Because if you end up spending a lot and you don't meet the deadline you are supposed to pay, you'll be charged extra fee. So you have to like structure. And there are some schools too, they take that fee little by little from your stipend. So you are not supposed to pay. But some schools too, they won't. So you have to just pay it yourself. So you have to just know how you go about saving towards that thing and yeah, paying those stuffs off. Because though you might have full funding and you are still required to pay some fees. Yeah, and a little bit about publications or papers, writing papers or something. You are not supposed to be perfect. You can't be perfect. Even your lecturers, they can't be perfect in writing papers. They can't. So just do what you can do. Just write, just write. That's the thing. Because if you think about perfection, you are not going to write anything. You won't even write a paper. So fine, you have to make sense, but you shouldn't think about perfection, because you can't, there is no perfect paper in this world. So just write. Yeah. And yeah, basically, yeah, that's the life I'm having here. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Budu. So I think basically that will be it for the presentation. So now we'll be taking questions. I think almost all our presenters are here. Dr. Dinko and Dr. Boatin are all here. Finn, Mieza, Budu, and everyone is here. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand and we'll just call you. If not, I think I'll go to some of the questions that were asked in the chat, but didn't receive any answer. Okay, Ahmed.
Yeah, what I'd like to ask is, I learned one of them finished his PhD in 3 years, and I'd like to know how he did that. And then I think I'm also considering applying for a PhD, or I'm working with some of my professors now to help direct, to help me make a decision on what I would like to do and how impactful that could be. what are the steps, although they are taking me through some of the things from their personal experiences, what are some of the things that I'm supposed to consider before putting in my PhD applications, and what in their own perspectives could make me stand out or get into the type of schools that I want to go into.
Okay, I think that question goes to Dr. Boateng. If you are here, can you help us answer him?
So one thing that I will tell you that, like, in PhD, when you are starting your PhD, you should be more focused. And I used to tell people that success entails a lot of sacrifice in your life. Sometimes if you want to finish early in your PhD, that means that you have to abolish your social life. So what I was doing is that mostly I was leaving the lab at maybe 12 a.m., 1 a.m. And to be honest with you, what really helped me was that I used to tell everybody that you can publish. But, I've been like you people 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I was in China, I was struggling to even write a paper. Based on that one, really, China really helped me a lot how to write. That's why I was telling that Chinese masters is very, very difficult, because it is specifically 3 years. And with that one, you need to publish, like in my university that I was, you need to publish at least one in a top journal before you can graduate. So when I came here, my PhD, immediately I came, I told the professor my first month, I wanted to know the direction, what I'm planning to do and others. So my first 2 months, I decided to now look at the experimental design the experiment and start in the lab. And it was not easy. Sometimes I told you that I was doing 5 classes. And, in America, doing 5 classes every semester, it was like hell for me. So even weekends, sometimes I don't go to church. I went to the Catholic. I was a Catholic, so sometimes it's just 15 minutes and go to the church and come back. And it was like hell. But every research, every experiment, every PhD journey is very difficult. But it takes you how you conscientize your mind, how you want to make it. And another motivation was that if I look at the amount of money, as you said, that when I was coming here, I thought, oh, it's fully funded, so I'm not going to pay any accommodation, maybe in no cost fee. So when I look at the money and and I have to pay it, I'll be left with $450. I said, I don't even cook. How can I even manage with $450? So that motivation, like, it motivates me to go to the lab. And so I just set up myself that my first year, I have to finish all my experiments and start writing the papers to publish. So in my first year, I started my experiment from 2021 September. So in July, I have finished all my PhD experiment. I've written the manuscript and I was ready to submit it. So in December, I submitted all my manuscripts and it was accepted for publication. So that one, I have met all my requirements, and mostly my professor, as you said, every professor have their own requirements and others. So then my professor initially told me that if I can publish 3 in top journals, he will let me graduate. So what I did was that I decided to now publish 4 in top journals. So when all those ones were published in top journals, he said, oh, I have met all my requirements. And also, I'll also tell you that some people are always telling that writing the dissertation is very difficult. But I will tell you that you should plan your work, plan your research, and try. Although publication is very difficult, the more you try and write, the better you become. And the more you become a peer reviewer, like me, I am a peer reviewer for more than 50 journals and associate editor. So the more I write, I know the technicalities that I write. So if you're a PhD student, learn from also your friends. Don't also be egotistic. I used to tell people that you should acknowledge that if your friend is good, the person is good, get close to the person. Some people are very good in mathematics. Some people are very good in experimental design. Some people are very good in statistics. Get close to them and learn from them. Else, if you are just sitting there and playing around, it will be very difficult. I used to tell people that when I came, I told them that I will finish the PhD in 2 years. So they were all surprised when I was able to graduate in 2 years. And I told them that, well, to prove to the professors that you are finished, every chapter, my literature review, everything was published. So in my dissertation, I'll just tell that the content of this chapter has been published. The content of this chapter. So like it will take you writing my dissertation. It was just 1 week because every chapter has been published. I'm just arranging it. So you can make it. If someone tells you that you cannot finish your PhD early, you can do it. Just that you need to sacrifice. Success entails a lot of sacrifice. You need to, sometimes friends, sometimes social life and everything, you have to also try and balance it. And you should also be focused. You understand? I initially, let me tell you something. When I came, and there were those Africans would get together and all those others. So I went one day, the next day they told we are going to have a hang. I say, hey, everyone has the reason why they came here. And I was even struggling at the way the cost of tuition that I paid in China and all those things. So I'll just tell you that know your limits. One, immediately you come, you should be research focused. Know what research you want to do and what are the various literatures. Read a lot of literatures. Your first time, it will be very difficult. When I went to China in my master, my first week, my professor gave me a paper in food chemistry to read. It was like Chinese to me. It was like, I read, I don't understand. And he told me to come and do presentation. I copied all of them because I didn't know anything. You know, we are from Ghana, bachelor. What do you know about like publishing and all that? But with time, I was able to improve. So if everyone tell you that it's difficult, it's not difficult, but it depends on you, how you sacrifice, how you conscientize your life, your mind, and how you make sure that you make good use of it. There are a lot of things in YouTube that you can learn. You don't need any time for your professor. I used to tell people that if you depend on your professor, then you will be staying there for 8 years, because sometimes some of your professors, they have family members, they have a lot of things to learn. There are a lot of new things they are online, YouTube. A lot of software that I draw, a lot of images that I draw, I learn all of them from YouTube. A lot of statistical analysis, go to YouTube and learn from there. Make sure that you make good use of your time. And with that one, I'm telling you, you can make it easily. And with that, it will be easy for you. That's why I said, if you're applying for jobs, I wrote it that no need for work authorization. I finished my PhD in 2 years. That alone was giving me a lot of interviews, a lot of offers. So please, I will tell you, although there is fun for everything, sometimes if you sacrifice some of your life, it will just help you. I know that the 2 years is very difficult. You just make it like 3 years, maximum of 4, you can finish. Make good use of it. Catch a lot of social life and all those things. Get close to friends who are very good. Some of your friends are very good in statistics. This one is very good. Make YouTubers. I mean, you come here, I don't have any television. My only thing is my laptop. So just give out your best and be focused and read a lot of literatures. And I used to tell people that the novelty, well, in my area, the novelty is in the lab. Sometimes I go to the lab, I'm doing this experiment, it doesn't work, and there'll be a lot of ideas. I'll go and read the literature and I find novelty there. So please give out your best. And I used to tell people that the reason why sometimes the Ghanaians, the Chinese are getting the top universities is that for PhD is that most of the PhD professors, when they look at their CV, they will see the Chinese maybe, food engineering, food this. They know that, it's a capitalist country. They know that, when I accept these students, you already know how to do experiment, how to run data, how to do this, then they will pick that person. So even if you are free, try and learn, read literatures, and that will really help you, and you will be more successful in your PhD, and you will start a better life.
Okay, can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, before I add something, I just want to, we talked about various kinds of visas and all that. And one of the visas that I know a couple of people have been on is a J1 visa. Now, I'll advise you as much as possible, stay away from J1 visa if you can. As much as possible. And this is very important. Most people don't know that. J1, first of all, there is no minimum requirement for pay. And so you could go and then the company is going to pay you, let's say 30,000, 40,000, even 45,000 a year. That's peanuts. And because it is not regulated, they exploit you. The second aspect is a legal hurdle, right? J1 requires that after you are done, after typically it's supposed to be a 2 years visa at the max. If you are done, you're supposed to go back to your country for 2 years before you are allowed to enter here. Now, you can always overcome that hurdle, but it requires a lot of money and a lot of lawyering in order to overcome that. So as you are looking for jobs and other stuff, those who are graduating, unless you don't have a choice, then you go for the J1. But if you do, by all means, stay away from J1 visa as much as you can. Just to add to what Ike said, we didn't cross the whole ocean to come here and watch skyscrapers and play and have fun. No, at least that wasn't what I did. I didn't cross the ocean to come here, stand there, take snow and take pictures in snow. And no, you have to have a game plan. You have to have what is your long-term plan for coming here in the US. Now, the cheapest way to stay is just go find some Obroni and you marry and you are gone. But I love freedom. I had the option of doing that. They were there. We used them. We paid our colonial dues. We shagged them proper, but we knew what we were doing, right? I didn't want to be beholden by anybody in order to stay here, right? So the easiest way out is to distinguish yourself. Write, and publish, period. And even though there is a lot of pressure for people to publish, especially those who want to go into academia and other stuff, I would caution you, do not publish in predatory journals.
Yes.
Very, very, very important. You can have 1,000 papers.
Yes.
But if they are not in good quality journals, somebody with 2 papers in good quality journals, they will hire that person than you.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of them out there. There are a lot of them, and some of them are controversial.
Yes.
Right. So stay away from them. Just don't publish in quack journals. Even if it is one paper that you publish in a top tier journal, you should be fine. Now, I've also said something, if you want to complete your PhD fast or your master's fast, you have to cut some of these social life. Spend more time. Writing is an art that is like wine. The longer you stay, the sweeter you become, the nicer you become. At the time I was completing, I finished my PhD. I could have easily graduated in my 3rd year if I wanted to, but I did not. And this is where I would advise you not to be in a rush to also graduate from a PhD. If you are graduating from a PhD and you do not have a job offer, don't do it. If you have 4 years and you are done with your dissertation in 2 years, but you do not have a job offer right away, don't do it. Just keep the time going to maintain your status. Apply to as many jobs as possible, or change your visa status as soon as possible before you graduate, right? The third thing I want to talk about is I will re-emphasize publishing, right? When you are going to publish, make sure you can go it all alone, sole authorship, and among all your publications, make sure that at least one of them is a sole authored paper.
Yes.
Right? That is very, very important, because that is the only time that you can demonstrate that everything, when they read the paper, they can establish beyond reasonable doubt that, yes, indeed, you are the person who wrote it. If you're going to be multiple authorship, try as much as possible to either be a lead author or at the most within the first 3 authors. Don't be like the 10th on a long list. In some field, it is accepted, but in most of the social and humanistic sciences, as well as most of STEM, if you are author number 7, people will assume that there's this kind of implicit bias that the person who is number 1 has contributed more than number 7. Meanwhile, in engineering, sometimes it's just this. I know some of my friends who just use alphabetical order of the names. It was not an indication of contribution, but you give it to somebody who is unaware that the lesson was just based on alphabetical order. It becomes problematic. Of course, there are some journals that will ask of contribution. So there's usually a small paragraph that shows that this person was involved in conceptualization, another person was analysis, or that. Listen, most often than not, not so many people pay attention to that. And so collaborations are important, but don't overly pad your papers, right? Also, work in teams. This is something that I found quite helpful. Work with senior colleagues. If you are a first-year PhD student, and then there is another Ghanaian or wherever, and then the who is like a senior to you, and they are willing to help, right? Work with them. Okay, I'm publishing this paper. I have these ideas. I've analyzed this. You come in, make an input. We have a co-authorship. So at the end of the day, if you have 5 colleagues, that if you're a team of 5, and each one of you are going to produce one paper every year, it means that each one of you are going to have 5 papers by the end of the year through that collaboration, right? Very, very important and strategic, right? I see that somebody is asking what are the resources to share with respect to learning, writing, sorry. Well, first of all, there are 1,000 of them, millions of them available. Creative YouTubing and creative Googling is what is going to help you. Now, what I know is that in Ghana, when they're teaching you to write a paper, they will tell you that, oh, you have to, especially the social sciences, you have to start from this place, global level, regional level. Bullshit. It's not something that flies. It's not something that is going to get you published, because each journal, I mean, Ike is an associate editor. He will tell you, I'm also a reviewer and an associate editor in a journal. We receive thousands or hundreds of submissions every single day.
Yeah, just this morning I rejected, I think, 20 papers.
Yeah, sometimes you are looking
just
at the
read and there is
abstract
no
alone,
novelty.
just the abstract alone, and then
Yes.
there is nothing, right? Perhaps we should do another webinar on how to write, because if you don't know how to write, if you don't, you can have all the brilliant ideas. If you are not able to put it in a way that is attractive, that is compelling, you lose out. And so you read some of and this is something that is especially in the social sciences, right? Most Africans are empirically rich and theoretically deficit, right? Our ability to conceptualize issues, how to find gaps, right? And how to articulate those gaps in a compelling way is one of the biggest problems. And again, don't underrate yourself. I don't think that there is anybody who is more smarter than you. The only difference between you and me today is just because I spend more time learning how to write, learning how to analyze and read papers. And I've been able to publish in one of the top tier journals, even before my dissertation, top tier journals only. I did my dissertation similar to dissertation through publications, right? Top tier journals. And it is possible. Yes. It is possible and doable. Very, very easy. Spend more time. Learn from people, those who understand things better than you. Take them as your good friend. If among all your friends, you are the smartest guy, then you have a big problem. Your friends should be smarter than you most often.
Yes. Yeah, let me add into it that you were saying, like the kind of friends that you have is very, very important. Remember that you are a graduate student. You understand? You came here not to go to San Antonio, San Francisco, be taking pictures, changing your WhatsApp status and others. It's not important. Else, with that one, that's why I said that bear in mind that if you want to chill, you cannot chill. You want to enjoy life. You don't chill more than the Americans. And what shows that they should give you that labor waiver. That is where now you should prove to your ability. And in ability, that's why he was saying that the kind of journals that you publish is very, very, very important. You cannot be publishing in $20 journal that it doesn't even, when you go to Web of Science, you cannot find it. It should be Web of Science indexed. And the impact factor is also very good, important. Mostly when you are publishing, you should look at the tier 1, Q1 journals, Q2. These are where, because their acceptance rate is maybe 15%, 20%. The journals that I review, most of them, the acceptance rate is less than 15%. So imagine that every year, let me give you an example, food chemistry, every year they receive 10,000 manuscripts, and it's maybe only 1,000 that they will publish. That means that all 9,000, they will reject it. So you should plan your work very well. In addition to it, as my boss was saying, authorship is also very important. Imagine that you have 100 publications. And based on the 100 publication, only 2 or 3 that you are the first to concentrate on being a leading author. That is also very important. In another 10 is also that, as you said, as my boss said, be a sole author is also very, very important. You know, sometimes, let me see if I can. Sometimes when I'm publishing and maybe sometimes I become a sole author, some people might think that being a sole author says a lot about you. Because that one, no one is going to ask about author's contribution. So although collaboration is good, so let me show you some of the sole authorship. Like this one. You see, like this one, if I open this one, it was a sole authorship. I was the only. So with this one, no one is going to tell you what was your contribution? What is the author's contribution? You know, another one too, you might see that, oh, it is maybe, if you look at some of these ones. So you should look at, although you are publishing, try and get at least 1 or 2 sole authorship. That tells a lot about you. Because if you are a graduate student, sometimes some might be thinking, oh, it was all the professors that even helped you, your committee members that was able to help you to publish in those areas. In another 10 is also that sometimes they look at it, okay, after your PhD, what was the publications you were able to publish to prove that it was not by the committee members and all the others. So look at all those things. So if I give you, like, if you look at mine here, with this one, you can see from here, first author, 63%, co-author, 11%, and single authorship, 26% out of the 30 publications that I have. So what tells you? That means that you yourself, you can also be someone that you remember that if you finish your PhD, you are going to be a PI. You'll be leading labs and others. They want to prove that, okay, if they give you this job, they give you this money, are you an independent researcher? Not only collaboration, can you also critically think by yourself? So you should look at all those things. And bear in mind, I am telling you that publication, I have been like you, is very difficult. But the more you practice, as my boss says, like wine. That's why I told you that 4 years ago, if I show you the comments that I sent to an editor and the insult that this editor even gave me, that was like the insult that this editor, he didn't even allow you to go for peer review. But that shouldn't discourage you. That even motivated me for me to go further. And with time, you will understand what peer review, like reviewers will be talking about. Sometimes I'll sit on the paper, I can write it because the more you write, the better you become. And learn from your peers. Don't be shy. That's why I say, don't bring your ego. Me, if I don't understand, let me give you an example. Like, I came to the PhD, I needed to learn something about microbiology. So what I did was that I joined an undergrad class. And when we are doing the microbiology, I get close to them that, hey, I am a food chemist, engineering. I don't know more about micro, so forget that I'm a PhD student. I need to learn from you. Teach me. You should calm down. Don't think like, oh, you are a PhD, you are this. Get close to some people. I told him that forget that I'm a PhD student. It's not important. This is microbiology. I don't have any idea. Teach me. You are very good. I acknowledge that. And he was able to teach. And I just told him that it's going to be a win-win. Teach me. When it comes to experimental design and others, I can also help you. And you are doing a lot of projects with an undergrad. It doesn't matter whether it's an undergrad. So calm down. Don't just be egotistic. Calm down and make sure that you make good use of your time. Remember, I used to tell people that, one, remember you are an international student. So if you are applying for a job, you and an American, one, you are disadvantaged. You understand? And also remember where you are coming from. They think that maybe their mentality about you people is that like, oh, laziness and that. So you shouldn't, if you come and you want to chill, there's time for everything. At the end of the day, let me give you an example. When I was in China, when they are teaching you, they will tell you that, hey, if you finish and you go back to your country and serve, because they know that for them, they are taking, you are going back. So how do you prove that you have the ability that you have to stay? That is why I say, if you are an international student, know that you are an international student and work extra hard. When an American is learning by 4 hours, learn by 8 hours and learn from the Chinese people. No wonder that the Chinese are getting a lot of opportunities. A lot of companies, if you're applying with the Chinese, they will pick the Chinese because they know that they work very hard. So please, that is what I want to add to it. Thank you.
So I think Ahmed hand is up, but you see, let me say something. Always just adopt this philosophy and you'll be fine. All of us are ignorant. We are only ignorant in different things. So that there are things that you know very well, there are things that you do not know very well. And it is okay if you don't know very well. It is also okay to humble yourself to read, to learn from those people. I talked about one thing, and that is something that the unspoken rule in hiring people. You know, let's be realistic. You are at a strategic disadvantage. First of all, you have an accent. Second, you come from a place that historically has been seen as substandard in almost every aspect of life, right? People already question your education and your background. And so you have to be strategic at disproving those things and clearing their mind. Sometimes you don't get that opportunity to go for an interview to make the argument that you are smart. So how do you do that? Especially those of you who are intending to go into academia as professors. How do you do that? You do that by distinguishing yourself. Publish in top-tier journals, be the lead author, or be the sole author, because sometimes they think that you don't know how to speak proper English. It is your advisor who has written the dissertation, the paper for you. You get it. In fact, we had one Ghanaian guy who was up for tenure position, and a member of the tenure committee, his argument was that he doesn't believe that the papers were written by that professor. Why? Because the guy has almost all his papers he submitted for tenure were all co-authored with the former PhD advisor. So be strategic in that. And somebody is asking, how do you pick a journal? And another person is asking, how do you check the impact factor of a journal? Most journals, you can get their impact factor right on their homepage. Now, this is one thing I will advise. Please, if you are publishing a journal, at least impact factor should be at least 2.0. If you are looking like that's the minimum that don't go and publish in a journal that is 1 point something or 0 point something or don't even have an impact factor. At least 2.0. And it must be either a Q1 or Q2 journal at the minimum, right? Of course, we can talk about maybe at another time talk about how to publish in a journal, how to pick a journal and all that. If you have a paper that you have written, the topic will determine which journal it goes. There are a lot of journals that are either based on regions, they are based on topics, they are based on specific methods. There are various categorizations of journals. But typically, if you have written the paper, the easiest way to know the journal you will send the paper to is, if you've written the paper, go to your own reference list. The papers that you are citing, what is the common journal that you are the previous authors have published in? So if you have 20 citations, and out of the 20 citations, references, you have about 7 of them coming from a journal called Well Development. That is a good indication for you that, oh yeah, this is a good place for me to put it. It also, that is the easiest way, but there are other intervening variables. I think Ahmed had your hand up.
I think Ahmed asked the question, or you still have a question?
Yeah. I was the one that asked the question, but I think you've spoken at length with regards to how best we can do some of these things, but I think it would be good if at a point you would reorganize maybe another session and then get much insight into some of these things. I was actually planning on doing one of these things with a professor, but one of the things that she told me was that I reached out to her, I think like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and telling her that I am considering a PhD, and which, she helped me to decide on which area to go into. And then she told me that she would rather involve me in her research to get to those things, but it looks more like I would have to get more of the quantitative knowledge and analysis before I would be able to do a lot of those things, which, although I think it's good, but I feel like it's trying to limit me. So I don't know what you would have to say about that. And then if I'm looking forward to applying for the PhD in those top schools, what do you think I'm supposed to consider? Thank you.
Okay, let me say something, and maybe Ike would have something to add. First of all, there is something called supervisor politics, and it is real. And you have to be aware of that. Don't, in as much as we want to say that this world is an objective place, it's idyllic, that is too idealistic. The reality is that we live in a world that people have emotions, opinions, and perspective. And they want, especially one thing you should know is that the most egotistical place you can ever be is academia.
Yes.
People with PhD feel like they are on top of the world. And so their opinion should be taken quite literally and seriously. And your advisor is one of them. I'm assuming your advisor has a PhD. So they would expect you to follow what they are suggesting. So I would suggest that you do not rubbish in its entirety all the things they are suggesting to you. Perhaps they have seen something and they believe that you have a potential, but you need to develop this other thing to make you more marketable. That notwithstanding, that shouldn't also mean that you should allow them to control how you live your life, right? You know what is in you, you know the potential, right? Now, if you decide that you're going to go for a PhD, which I will highly encourage you, I don't know what your background is, but I'll highly encourage you because PhD is a lovely field, especially if you're doing something you love, and then at the end of the day, you get a new title and people think you are smart. All PhDs are normal human beings, right? But I would suggest that you pay a lot of attention in how, and this is something probably we have to think about, but I think it makes a lot of sense to learn how to read. Now, this is very basic, but I will repeat it. It makes a lot of sense for you to learn how to read. The way we were taught to read in Ghana was, you know, the individual words, you can rattle them out to make sense. And that ended it. We were not taught to be critical and analytical in our reading. And that is something, if you want to be a scholar, your biggest asset as a scholar is to be an analytical reader. Now, when you are reading an article, you question, what are the assumptions of this author, right? What are the findings? And how are they interpreting the data? What are the shortcomings? What are the things that they are overlooking, right? What is the theoretical grounding of this paper? And if this paper is the way they have grounded the theory, does that reflect in the analysis of the data? Because most often than not, you see that the people write gloriously, a nice introduction, a nice abstract, but the data does not, there is no synergy between the claims in the introduction, the data itself, its interpretation and conclusions. So if you learn how to be an analytical reader, it makes things way easy for you, and it makes you competitive. Now, to go on a PhD, at least from what I know as of now, you're going to go on a PhD and you're going to compete with people who have 3 or 4 articles at the master's level. Even undergraduate students are now publishing, right? So you are at a strategic advantage if you get 1 or 2 publications. And sometimes, I think I have said that learning from others, learning, be willing to learn and turn yourself into a student of somebody, not necessarily your advisor, but somebody in your field, somebody from a Ghanaian who is already doing well, or another individual who is doing very well. You take their work, read it, and then you see how best you can replicate it. In fact, the first way, the easiest way for you to publish your first article is what is called mirroring, right? You take an article that you like so much, and then you go get data that will speak in a similar fashion. Then you learn how they wrote it. You take their introduction. This is how the logic of their introduction. Don't copy the introduction. Copy the logic of the introduction. And you repeat the same logic in your introduction. You go to their data analysis, the logic and philosophy of their data analysis. You use that same logic and philosophy, write the same thing, same conclusion, same manner. Two different data sets, two different contexts, but the logic is the same. That is what is called mirroring. It's the easiest way out for you if you want to publish very fast. I think I could have something to say.
Yes. So as you explain, I understand. Like if you are from Africa and you are sometimes applying PhD, you contact some of the professors, they will not be showing you that they don't like you, but they will be questioning your ability and your quantitative skills and all those ones. I have been like you. I remember when I was applying for US for master, I was struggling. I sent this, I couldn't even get funding. But as you said, like publication is very, very important. So when I went to China and I published a lot, let me see if I can share you some of the email after when I sent them. So you see, let me give you an example like this one. So after I got a lot of publications and when I'm sending them their email, you see like this email, that was where I realized that when you send an email to the professors, they see it, but they don't see the need for like you being so competitive for them to offer you. So when I went to China, after China, then I was applying for PhD in US. You see, I write this letter like this, and I list all my publications that time. I never knew that within less than 24 hours, the professors will respond you that let's have a Zoom meeting. You understand? They will just respond you that, hey, let's have a Zoom meeting. I want to have a Zoom meeting with you. And after that, almost of the professors in those top places, they will have a meeting with you and they will be praising you because you have proved to them that beyond all reasonable doubt, you have been able to publish in journals, top journals as a leading author. And these are the kind of people that they need. So that mentality about you being an African and you don't know quantitative skills and all those things, you have removed it. Bear in mind that that's why I told you that when you are applying with Chinese students who are having masters and they have 3 publications in their masters in top journals. And you know, people have known, some professors have known that when they take the Chinese students, they have that ability to deliver for them. That alone is your disadvantage. That's why he is telling you that try and see in your masters, even in your masters, try and see if your dissertation, you can even publish your dissertation, some aspect of your dissertation, even if it's not, you mirror it. Another thing is that you should also try and see that area that you are interested. It might be possible that you are sending this to this professor, this is your area, but the professor has different area for you. So you should try and read and see how you can navigate through all those things. Applying and getting admission, sometimes bear in mind that I used to tell people that when you send a professor email, he will say, your CV is this, but I don't have funding. And if a professor needs you, he will try and get funding for you.
100%. 100%.
Get that one and try. That's why I used to tell you that you have a disadvantage. What show you that you are truly exceptional? Let me give you one final example. When I was going to China, you know, China, they don't travel. A lot of people, they have the mentality about blacks and they think that we are very uncivilized and all those. So when I was in China for 1 year in the lab, people were not even talking to it. So when they come and see you using HPLC, GC mass, they will just be surprised that, how can you even know how to run HPLC? You know, that is their mentality. So imagine that I was not there for them to feel that, I know how to run this. So it came to a point, how do I prove to them? Some of them, I talk to them, they don't even respond. How was it possible that for now all of them were now coming? Because when I started publishing and my professor told them that, hey, this guy has published in this top journal, then all of them. So in the lab, all of them will now come, hey, Isaac, can you help me with this? You know, life, everyone is opportunist. That is why I tell you that make good use of it. And in addition to it, when I was applying to PhD in the US, it was very, very easy for me because of my publication. I am sure that if it wasn't that publication, maybe I was applying directly. That's why I told you, 2015, I applied, 2014, I applied. None of them gave me any funding because their mentality, oh, this guy is coming from Africa, from this. But now, when I went to China and with a lot of publication, they will look at it and they say, no, maybe their mentality that they have. That's why I tell you that if you are international students, I always tell some of my friends, when people are chilling, you should know that you are international students. Yes, everyone likes chilling. Me, I like chilling, but there, you should use your brain. You know, that is where capitalist, God is a capitalist God. You should make good use of it. So please, I know, I feel that pain with you. I applied, I was not getting a lot of things. Sometimes I remember when I sent, there was this professor, when I was in Ghana, I talked to this professor. Later, he told me, your HPLC analysis and this is not good. If you, and you know, the most annoying thing, he will now tell you that if you can get a GRA of 325, then I can consider you. That means that indirectly he's telling you that you don't. And so when I went to China and I got a lot of publication, I emailed that same professor. Then he told, can we have a Zoom right now? Are you free in the next 2 days? I didn't even respond him because his mentality has now what changed. He might be thinking, this student I could have taken it. So please make good use of it. Make good use of publication, make good use of conferences, make good use of maybe a book chapter that you want to contribute, and that will make you excel. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Boati and Dr. Dinko. So I've taken a lot of pieces, but I mean, Dr. Dinko, I think that we have to pay our colonial dues. That one too is very important. So
yeah, that is important. But do it in a way that you don't put yourself in a terrible situation, because I've heard so many stories of especially with guys, like you go and then you are going to pay your colonial dues with these ladies, and then at the end of the day somebody will say you raped them. So
yes,
if you're going to do it, me, when I came, I told myself that, well, my wife is not here, so I can talk. You see, I came and I said, listen, I have to pay my colonial dues. They used to rape our sisters every day. And so we are also going to do all that we can do, you know. So, and we enjoy. Have fun, but keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball.
Okay.
Don't let
I think
colonial dues be the reason why you don't publish.
yeah. Okay, I think that we will take the final question from Akwesi Ampofo, then we'll be able to wrap up. It's been almost 3 hours now. So
yes.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity once again. I think I would like to ask more about a PhD, because I'm somehow heading towards that place. If you want to maybe do more credit hours than what is being given to you, and you have assistantship, maybe that covers, let's say, 9-10 credit hours. How are you going to navigate that?
First of all, I would not advise you to do more credit hours on a PhD. There's simply no point in doing that.
Yes.
Rather spend more time on your research work.
Yes. And also, you should also know that what I did was that know that in PhD, most of the courses you can, let me give you an example, University of Missouri, you can transfer 30 credits.
Yes.
So try as much as the one that some of the credit that you took in your master, you transfer all of them. And you know, mostly the reason why most of the professors, they don't want you to take more than 9 credits is that they want you to concentrate more on your research.
Yes.
But if you can prove to them, so me, I told my professor that judge me at the end of 1 year, I am going to deliver all of them for you. You just let me take my 5 credits and I'll come to the lab. I'll work more. So that's why I was telling you that I was leaving the lab at 12 a.m., sometime 1 a.m., come in the morning, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And at the end of the day, you have to prove to the professor. At the end of the day, at the end of the 1 year, I prove to the professor, oh, these are all the papers that I have generated and others. So he said, oh, that's why I told you that he gave me 3 or 4 years to finish this research. I use 1 year. Every professor will be happy that you've used 1 year to finish all this research. So after that, he told, oh, take as many credits as you want, graduates and all those things. That's why I said that if you want to take more than 5, maybe more than 9 credits, and also you are not being productive in the lab, no professor will allow.
Yes.
But at the end, he's using the funding to
yeah, just to add that, really, at the PhD level, nobody really cares exactly about the grades on your transcript. They care where you publish and how many papers you publish.
Yes.
So when I was going for, and the good thing is that I might have had this similar experience, but if you do well by the time you are graduated, immediately you send out your CV and check it doesn't take long, and then you are getting invitation left, right for interview. They will fly you over to the whatever university you are going to teach, to go for an interview, pay for everything. Look, it's a fun time to get a PhD, right? So
that's why we are telling you that
don't go for more credit hours. If you want to do something on the sideline, you want to learn Python coding and other stuff, and there's a course like that, yes, you can audit it. But I would say that after your first year on the PhD, try as much as possible to take independent research and independent study, so that you have more time to write your papers.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's why I really agree with you, because one of my friends, when we were doing the PhD, he was always, oh, I got an A in this, I was sometimes what do I?
Nobody cares about what you get on your PhD.
I told him, I said, he said, it seems when you come to class and others, you don't target 90. I said, for what? I don't need GPA.
Yeah, you don't need GPA at the PhD.
All the GPA I need is 3.0. Yes. So all those AAA, at the end of the day, they will tell you what is your publications, what type of journal that you are publishing. Yes. Bear in mind that some of the classes that you are taking, a college student can also take that class and get an A. Correct. But a college student cannot do that independent research like you. So at the end of the day, that is why sometimes they will tell you that you are not productive. Yes. Sometimes your supervisor, I used to tell some of my friends who was like his supervisor was bullying him and others, I said, when you take him to the graduate school, at the end of the day, you are in your 5th year, you have 0 publication. So maybe their mentality might be thinking that, oh, you are lazy and you are always using race as an excuse and others. But imagine that your supervisor is bullying you and you have 5 publications, you go and show it to the graduate school. That is where people might be thinking that racism, or maybe the professor is having. That's why I say you yourself, one, you are in disadvantage. So you should prove to them that upon all reasonable doubt, you are be able to what? That's why I tell you that you should strike your balance between happiness, chilling, you can chill, but you should know that you are a PhD student and you came there to contribute to literature. At the end of the day, a PhD student, if you don't contribute, that's why I was telling you that if you are applying for jobs, the top jobs, if you want to make 6 figures, do you think that 6 figures, you are the only one who is applying? Let me give you an example. This job that I applied, there was 2 internal candidates. But if you are good enough, you know, those 6 figures and others, it will go to the executive team. It's not only the hiring manager who will select you. They will take they will take all of you people, because bear in mind that it's a top position. And they will take you to the executive team and they will also decide. So it doesn't matter if there is a internal candidate and others. They will look at, okay, there are 2 internal candidates, but this person is really exceptional. So they will take that person. That is why I'm telling you that make good use of it. Else, getting a job, even a lot of Americans are here. They apply for jobs and they don't get it. Yes. Bear in mind that if you're a PhD, you are not expecting to be receiving 30,000, 40,000. No. You are expecting to be receiving high money. Yeah. And bear in mind that you are not the only one. You are also competing to an American. Maybe your visa status is a disadvantage. So plan all those things. And after that, if you get those jobs, that's why my boss was saying that they will give you relocation allowance. They will pay your flights. They will pay everything. Like the job that I came here. 2 months, they put me to a hotel, a big hotel for 2 months to sleep there for free. And I was there sleeping there for free. In the morning, they will just take a car and come and pick you. Go in the evening, come and pick you and all those things. That's why, because you wait for it. But if you don't, you will be struggling. I know some of my friends, like, that is why he was telling you that some people, they don't want to complete their PhD because they know they are not having a job. And why? Also, they came, they were just like chilling. Sometimes some of them, I used to tell some people, you are a PhD student, you see their WhatsApp status, they'll be standing here taking pictures. So as a PhD student, you have time for changing your WhatsApp status and all those things. It's very important. So please consider all those things if you want to get a good job, start a good life, and make the American dream. I used to tell people that the American dream, it is you yourself. If you don't work, because America, there are even people who were born in America, they are homeless people. So if you don't work and you sit and you also your visa status is a problem, you finish, you go back.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think that was the okay. I think there are still some hands raised. Karamatu, I don't know whether you are here. If you're not here, then
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, see, mine is not a question, but just a quick one. That or wish that we can have a different session where they can take us through like writing of our papers, because I think some of the first years for the masters, these are some of the challenges we are having. So if they can organize another, or you can get another session where we can like really go through that with us, because what we are taught, we know that when you are writing papers, you need to begin on the whole or on a general level, and then you narrow down, and then you proceed to what your specific content or topic is. But from their submission, it seems that's not the case, and I'd love to have more insights on their perspective, because some of us want to do our PhD, and I learned that the earlier we start working on our papers, the better for us. So, and then we want to attend conferences as well. Yeah. So
okay. So I think we'll definitely look at that. This
Yeah,
one
but with that one, with what she is requesting, with right, I think as Isaac said, most times, it depends on how more you practice. For example, when I came here first, I'm in my second year master's program. Initially, there was some difficulties, but as we continue practicing, I think it becomes easier. So I don't know whether Isaac have much time for him to organize another section based on writing. That is more of academics than other areas. So I don't know. Or Isaac, what do you suggest?
If I have, because like I'm now new here and like things sometimes having time and others. So maybe if I have time, maybe I'll tell you the niche and like what are the techniques that you need to use to write, and let's editors take your paper for even. I used to tell some people that even if you send it to a top journal and it goes for peer review and it's even rejected by reviewers, that means that you have done a lot. Because like me, I read papers. Like this morning, I just got up. Like every weekend that I log in as an editor and look at some journals and we'll be reading. I read through, look at the technicalities, click on reject. Then I'll type a lot of comments. I remember some of them, like I just really told them that, hey, if you are not, you don't be wasting some people's time and all those things. So it's like there are a lot of things that you go through. That's why I have been like you before. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if I show you the paper that I wrote, then it was the insult that I got from the editor. I was so, but with time, as you practice, you get used to it. So maybe in another webinar, if there is any free time that I have, like you look at that one.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Like maybe there are other things. Maybe it can be a writing workshop or something, which we will not expect huge numbers. But I mean, cause me, I need to learn how to write. I don't know. So we can all benefit from it. Okay, Samuel Abwedi, I think you should be the last person.
Okay, thank you very much. My question goes to Isaac. Please, how much do you pay to publish a paper? Because I tried publishing a paper and they were taking $970.
Every good journal, a lot of what I know is that like in my area, there are a lot of good journals that have been subscribed by universities, been subscribed by a lot. All the journals that are published, zero. Hey, then all the 35 I need to pay. That money, I will take it to Ghana and go and buy a big land and start. Yes.
Okay, so please, can you suggest some for me?
I think that what depends on your area. What is your area? Me, I am in food chemistry and
statistics, and applied mathematics.
So go to Elsevier. Elsevier. Or if I were you, let me show you something that I will have done. Okay. So I'll go to Web of Science. So if I have something like this one, let me go to Google. Google. Okay, so Web of Science index, journals.
I like the way I'm targeting ACSN.
Yes. You get it. You know, so list of Web of Science journals you see here. That's why I say Google. I used to tell some of my friends that if you're a woman here and you are into marriage problems and your husband is telling you because you cannot prepare palm nut soup, and you know that Google is there or YouTube is there that you can even Google, they will teach you how to prepare palm nut soup. You understand? So based on this one, you know, I just type list of Web of Science index journals in mathematics. It just get me to those landing pages. So you can see here, you will see a lot of journals. So automatically, these are Web of Science index journals. You see a lot of journals here. You can explore and see the one in your area. You understand? And most of them they are being subscribed by universities. So well, let me tell you, when I was in China, a Chinese professor would never take you to a paid one because for them, they think in their mind that if it is paid, it's not good. So when you tell them you have to pay this one, they will tell you, no, I'm not going to pay. And there are a lot of journals that are very good that you don't pay. All the journals, none of them, zero. So look at those ones and also be careful. When you see some journal, they tell you that pay $100. Some of them are predatory journals. So ask yourself, is this journal Web of Science index? That's why I say type Web of Science index in that area that you want. And also bear in mind that while you are doing research and others, you know the journals in your area. The more you read, you know those top journals, those good journals in your area. Like me, immediately you are doing food science, I ask you which journal is it? Because I know all the journals, the good journals. When I tell you, no, this one, the impact factor is very low, don't send it there. Do you understand me? So go to Google, you get some of them that are very free. They are free.
All right, thank you.
Isaac, what is your opinion about MDPI?
For me to spend that money, you know, one thing about that, I review a lot of papers in MDPI, and when I click on reject,